I'm here. What's up, man?
Hey.
Where wait a minute. How do I turn on? I feel like I'm the worst technological person in the world when I can't figure Zoom out. I can't hear. Let me see.
Can you hear everyone?
I can hear. Oh, I can hear you. I cannot hear
Well,
Freddie.
yeah, I can hear Freddy because his mic is off.
Yeah, I was muted.
There you
Sorry. See, it's not just you, Mo. It's like all of us
go.
trying to figure this out.
All
Well,
right.
Polly's got
And
it.
by the
Polly's good
way,
at this.
just for the record, you're not the worst technological person in the world with that, but me.
Oh, really?
I
Oh,
never use Zoom. I always use what is it? Um yeah.
StreamYard or something?
Yeah, no, I use OBS usually, but for that what is it? I can't talk right now. God, I've gotten to the age where I'm like, what's the word? I know the word. I know the word. I've
That's
reached that
all
age
good.
now.
Yep.
Discord. I usually me and my friend when we do our podcast, we use Discord.
Okay. Yeah. Like I always wonder how other podcasters get it done. I don't think I'm going to be using Zoom forever, but
I mean, at
it's
some point,
it's.
you might want to like get a mirrorless camera and
I
be
mean,
like really fancy, with the camera and the studio lights and the
Oh man,
microphone.
I
right? Gotta
wish
get
my
the nice microphone and all
what do you
that.
guys use? What do you guys use for your recording? I
A
have a
laptop.
webcam. What's that? Your
A
laptop?
laptop, yeah.
Yeah,
Like I,
I'm trying to
I'm
figure out my video setup. So
it looks fine. Like I'm literally using my phone. So,
The
you
phone
know,
looks good though.
yeah, no,
that's what
that's
people
good.
say. So yeah,
I think a
like
lot
it
of people don't they use like their iPhones. I have a crappy
Yeah.
like three or 4 year old Android. And no way in hell I'll use my camera for that. It takes crappy pictures. So
I mean, my iPhone, everyone makes fun of it because it looks old. It's not as old as it looks. It's a 2020 SE, so it looks like a 7. It still has a button on it. Everybody makes fun of it, but I like
yeah,
Actually
it. It
love
works.
that.
It gets the job done.
that's
So
nice. Well, are y'all? It's I've been trying to do my research for this.
Oh yeah.
me
There's not
too.
much
Me
research,
too.
and by
Right?
That's like the gates opened and shit came pouring in.
yeah,
Right? Okay, so we are recording now, but I'm not really gonna I'll let you guys know when we're really starting. Like I'll give an intro and all that stuff like I usually do. Um let's see, it's 11:04, so maybe I'll give people one more minute in case anyone else wants to join us. I think maybe Curls might join us. Who knows? I'm just
oh,
making sure I got everything
yeah.
together.
By the
Mhm.
way, Polly, nice to meet you for the first time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Same.
say that I'm glad we got to like be on a thing.
Yeah, yeah. We
And
Yeah,
keep
this is
missing each other.
yeah,
this
no, it's just I don't really jump on other people's things, but like I did this like a couple weeks ago and it was fun. I don't know why I missed it last week. I was off on Saturday. I don't understand why I missed it, but I
well,
wouldn't
no
have
I
been
know
able
where
worries.
to
I was.
contribute anyway. Uh,
It's all good.
uh,
Sometimes I don't expect people to like commit to every single podcast. Like, I just love when people can pop in, and I'm glad you both are here today. It's gonna be fun. I mean, we'll talk about the unfun stuff, and then hopefully we'll have some fun stuff we can talk about too.
right.
Yeah.
Um, so let's see here. It's 11:05. Okay, we can probably get started. Um,
11, it's 5:05 for me.
Oh, 5:05. Yeah. Yeah, Polly's in a completely different time zone. I don't know if you
Hmm.
knew about that, Mo. Um,
I'm like living in a different era.
but through the magic of the internet, we're, we're able to talk together. So that's
Well,
awesome.
if one day we can get somebody like from Asia, like Korea or something like that, we'll complete the or Japan. That'd be dope too. Or
I
I
Yeah.
mean,
don't.
wait, you're both in America, so we would need someone from South America, from
Yeah,
Antarctica.
that would be cool. Actually, I would love that. I don't want to say jealous, but I thought it was really dope that on Vigilante Vibes they got the voice actors from X-Men '97, and two of them are Brazilian. I was like, that's cool as hell. Like,
Oh, two, who's
I,
the second one? I know Sunspot.
I
Yeah,
think they got his mother
yeah.
too.
hmm
Oh, okay,
That was
cool, cool.
those are actually really cool interviews.
The awful woman, like the character, the awful woman, as everybody hates.
That's I thought that was dope, but like it would I love this, being able to talk to most of the people that are on my, that I follow or follow me are American. That's
Well,
kind of
I'm not.
that's kind of the nature of well, yeah, I mean that's kind of the nature of social media and uh but it is cool to get people from other parts of the world. Like
Like,
probably you say you're in Serbia,
Yeah.
that's dope. Like
Well, yeah, it's better
I
than before because, like, I'm Russian.
you're a Russian. Oh,
I was.
or you wow, so where are you from originally?
I mean,
Like
I'm originally from Russia.
like whereabouts? Like I know I'm asking
St.
like I know
Petersburg.
I've been to Russia once like
Really?
back in
Oh
1990.
God, why?
I went to a little town, Tula. I don't
Oh
know where that
God, I've
I
been
don't even know where that
there.
is.
I
But
know that.
this was like in '96, so it was a long time ago.
This is so
Uh,
random.
no, it's just like, and I had a classmate back in high school. She's not Serbian, she was Croatian. So that
Mm.
you can imagine that time in the mid '90s was a weird time to have a Croatian friend.
Well, there was a war here, so.
Yeah, no, it's I'm dancing around the fact that that part of the world was really messed up at the time. And she was personally invested. But anyway, Russian, that's cool.
that's
No,
cool.
it's not.
Well, no, I'm saying, well, when I went to Russia, I didn't run across many people of color. If they
Yeah,
were,
neither
they
did I, and I spent like over 30 years there.
yeah. So
No,
you were in there. Let's see. You say you lived there for 30 years, so
Oh, over 30 years.
so
Like, I was born there, obviously.
you're post Glasnost, right?
Uh,
Like were you
yeah,
born
well, no,
after?
I was born in the USSR actually.
Oh no, so you were born. Okay, yeah. So you lived part. Okay, that's when I went there. It was after. So '96 was after kind of the
I think it was like
democracy and
Yeltsin's
everything.
second term.
Yeah, pre Putin, before
Yeah, best
democracy and
days.
all that stuff. Yeah, it's anyway. Freddie, sorry,
no,
sorry to dominate this.
no.
That was an interesting time. The '90s were an interesting time.
What we
No,
And
it's
can talk
interesting for me to
about.
hear all about it because like, I don't always know everything.
it
So
was
it's like, oh,
well, it
it's
was
cool to
interesting for
hear
me.
more.
Like I said, going to Russia it was like in January in Russia, and I'm from Texas originally, so it was cold as shit and snowy and ice, and just kind of like staying with, we did like an exchange program and seeing what it was like in another country. I'm from East Texas, so I'm like dead in the middle of the Bible Belt in the country. Like this is a small town in East Texas, going to Moscow and I'd spent all the '80s and they're like, oh, the Russians want to destroy, democracy and all this other shit. And I'm like, they're just regular
They
ass
do
people
now.
that the kids my age, they wanted to party and hang out and they were just like, oh, America's awesome and everything. And it was just like, yeah, that's one of the things that made me understand like my media consumption isn't telling me the right things about the world because like
Right.
they just want to hang out, chill. They're like, oh, black people, cool. Like we don't see them like unless they're from like Africa. They're African exchange students. Like it's like they don't see them black Americans except on TV. So it's different. But anyway, Polly, I think that's cool. I love meeting nerds from everywhere. So like your nerdery is going to be similar, but like you coming from a different perspective necessarily than ours, and you got to consume all of our media and try to figure out what the hell is what's going on with y'all.
Oh, well, I had a
Exactly.
lot of practice.
we
Like decades.
Americans we Hollywood dominates the
Yeah.
landscape. So you like it's kind of like how I always tell people I'm like it's easy for black people to write white people because it's our fucking media, right? Any black person could write a white person, but a white person writing a black person, I guess
I mean,
it's
not
really
even every
Listen,
iffy.
black person
That
can like a black
it
person.
trends stereotype.
that's
It trends
true,
stereotype.
but I was about to bring that up today. Like, I don't know if anybody read Ultraman Avengers, but like that's a whole conversation. But Mo, I did want to ask you: Are you still in Texas? Or are you have you
I
moved
live in
since then?
Florida. I
Okay,
live in
Florida now. Gotcha.
What? How did you get from
just
Texas to
school.
Florida? Why?
Just I left for school and I never left. It's that thing where you're like, oh man, I want to go to college in another state. Okay, cool, and then you never leave the state. It's
Yeah, but
um
Florida.
yeah, it was it's they consider it a lateral move because they're both about the same level of crazy. I
Uh,
live people are like, oh, Florida's a purple state. Lies. It's a red state.
I
I
mean,
just happen to live in a very blue area. Like it's,
uh,
but
oh, there
that's,
are blue areas.
I mean, I live in North Florida. I live in the capital of Florida. So
Tallahassee.
consider, how you ever hear the bywords about Alabama and how backwards it is and shit like that? That's Alabama, North Florida, same people.
Mm.
So it's Tallahassee's blue. Everything immediately around it, like one county is blue, everywhere else around it is red as hell, and Trump lovers are all around the place. So
Yeah.
Ooh.
it's good times to be a liberal here, but it
Well,
is.
it's very interesting. Thank you guys for like sharing a little bit more about yourselves and where you're from because like I don't always ask those questions because I never like to like pry, but like I do like to learn more about my friends and as you guys know, I'm from Washington D.C. So
So Chocolate City, that's what's up.
that's right.
Represent.
That's right. I mean, I'm born and raised here, but I like you, I did go out of state for college, but then I came back though, so so I'm still here. So
Not to
uh,
Florida.
no way, Jose. Like I'm good, thank you. But you know, if I could move anywhere, well, I guess it depends on how this election goes with me. I don't
I
know.
mean, Toronto will welcome you. I'll say that.
That's what I hear. Yeah.
Imagine all the Americans on the Canadian border.
Right.
Well,
Please let us in.
Dude.
We messed
you know,
this up.
I mean, Polly, when you hear Americans be like, "Ah, I'm leaving the country if so and so
Yeah.
is elected," I can't. How do you look at that? Like, because
Like it's kind of like a funny to me because being Russian, you obviously been through some incredible shitty situation, like politically, especially when you were born in like the USSR, and then it collapsed, and then it turned into Russia, and then it turned into Putin state. Like,
yeah,
if you hadn't lived, like after all that. Left after all that, I mean, the chances are some people just still stay there, and they're not bad people, and they're not like Putin supporters. They just stay there, and they're like hoping
mhm,
for things to change. Some even try to change things. Obviously it doesn't end well for them. Wow.
yeah.
So
Yeah, like I mean, I'm just joking. I like even if I mean, I've never seriously thought about moving if based off of an election, just because this is my home. Like honestly, I've said I'd be willing to fight for it, if it came to that. But that
also it's
said,
gonna be like different in 4 years again.
right, like
Theoretically, now hold
Well,
on.
yeah.
You remember,
let's hope.
just remember who he idolizes. He thinks Putin's got the right idea. So like
Well, I think like he will
it's
change his mind
it's a
after
little
he
more
sees.
structurally difficult to become a dictator in America. It's not impossible. It's just you gotta thread certain needles, but you can do it. It's not impossible.
Everybody's saying like the country is divided, and like that happens every 4 years, obviously. But that's a good thing, actually. That's something that keeps people from becoming dictators. Because when they're united, that's where you have the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
Good point.
We're so far no aliens have showed up to get us all on the same page. So they're as Neil deGrasse Tyson says they've driven by and they're like no intelligent life there. Let's move on. So
Like Marvel stole their Civil War ideas from America because like Civil War We had the original Civil War, and
Excuse me, before you
well,
even had a country,
I mean, true,
we
true, true.
had like so many civil wars.
Of course, we're not the only one to have civil wars. I know, but I'm just saying that you know, as far as Marvel goes, they're
Are
always
you talking about the original or second one?
both. Like really love to
Now see,
brand
I have
every.
not experienced the second one. I partly because I don't really read
And then
comics
there's a
anymore, but
movie, of course.
also, but the other thing is, I was just like, but why would you do this again? Like it really felt like a like Civil War Two felt like the sequel to any movie that you really liked, and there it felt like Highlander Two, if that makes sense to you. Like the first Highlander, dope. Second one, I was like, this okay, let's do it again, and I'm like, wait a minute though, why
No,
are we
yeah,
doing?
Civil War Two was not as good
So
at
it is
all,
Highlander
Well,
in
2.
my
It's
opinion.
not Terminator 2, it's Highlander 2. Okay. Also, I heard that Captain Marvel was the bad guy in it. What the I'm like, no,
She was at her most cop like if
how
you
dare you? First of all,
yeah, and then
I
she
love
comes
Carol
back and
Danvers.
like
I don't like
the
it.
Avengers right now, and she's like, the Avengers are not cops. And
Yeah.
I'm like,
I need
okay.
less of, was so that was intentional to make her the stand-in for Blue Lives Matter. Is that what was going on? Like I'm curious.
I don't think it was intentional. I just don't think Bendis is very thoughtful as a writer. Like honestly, I've read a lot of
Ooh,
Bendis stuff,
that's a
and 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 he's very like crank it out, quantity over quality. But
which
it's
is weird
sometimes there's
because
quality.
I mean,
well,
he hits. Sometimes he hits the really great level,
Sometimes,
and sometimes he
sometimes.
misses. I think that's just normal, but sometimes he's just, it's like he gets tired of a run. If he's on the run for too long, he gets tired, he runs out of ideas, and he starts rehashing everything, and then he takes a break and comes back with something great
It's like,
sometimes.
that's funny because I really love his Ultimate Spider-Man.
oh
I
yeah, that
re
was one of my first like big runs that I read
yeah.
all the way through. It was great, but
I thought his Miles Morales creation of Miles Morales is if you had to say of all the things he's done, no matter what, that's the best thing he ever did was creating Miles Morales. But the Ultimate Spider-Man was really good. In fact, his run in the Ultimate Universe in general was
like
pretty on
with
point.
I do think with everything he's done, there's been like some questionable choices, like naming Miles's dad Jefferson Davis after the Confederate president. Like that seems like nobody caught that. Nobody thought to change his name.
I think they may have caught it, but I mean, he may have been trying to subvert. I don't know. You never know what writers what their
No, I've met Bendis. I've asked him a question about his writing, and his answer was never like good. Like I asked him, okay, I don't know if you guys read. Paul, you probably read Secret Invasion.
Yeah.
Um, with the Avengers. Like, do you remember when Jessica Jones and Luke Cage's baby had like green eyes? And they were teasing that the baby might be a scroll.
yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, I asked him about that. And he gave me the most BS answer, and it never was followed up on. Like, that baby is not a scroll. I'm like, why'd you even do that? But
I mean, things happen
I
to that
remember that.
baby. She's either like purple or green or whatever, depending on the mood of the night.
I'm pretty sure I remember that too, and I was like, "Oh shit!" When did they replace the baby with? Wait a minute, is one of them a scroll?
right?
Like that was which by and into the first Civil War. Like I hate the idea of them doing this. Not Civil War. Secret Invasion was so interesting. In that like literally, like it was invasion. It basically it was ripping off Invasion of the Body Snatchers but in a superhero context. And I thought they did a really damn good job of it in the comics, which and this is for my once monthly shitting on Secret Invasion. It pissed me off that they dropped the ball so hard on the actual MCU version because they had the entire comics to
Yeah,
do
but
it.
they didn't have the cast. They didn't have the like.
They had the money. They
Well,
didn't have
yeah,
money to bring
they could
people
have
in.
waited. I
Well,
think they could have
that's
waited
because they
and
had
made
to
it
give it
better.
all. They had to give all the money to Sam Jackson because he's a
Which I'm
movie
fine
star,
with. Get that man his money, but like
right?
the only way Secret Invasion is impactful is if an actual character we know, like they brought Rhodey in, cool. But it would have been even better if, like, why just Rhodey? Why not any of the other Scott Lang
Yeah,
could
like the
that Paul Rudd would
major
have showed up for
characters.
5 minutes to do that. Y'all got Martin Freeman to show up for 5 minutes. You couldn't get Paul Rudd.
I think part of the problems it was just like I think the director writers hadn't really read any comics. I think that was reported on. Like they were intentionally trying to do something different. And then on top of that, it
Mhm.
just didn't have the scale. Like the comics had scale. Like it had everybody involved. It was galactic. It was like you had aliens and humans. Whereas like the show was way more intimate. It had like a small cast. It had smaller stakes.
Yeah,
Um,
but that's just it's not the material, the source material, which like can translate into a show. Because show is it's not a movie. It's not a big event. It can't be a big event. It's like
and
supporting narrative.
Like I actually really
So
wanted them to do like I wish they had saved it for a big event. Like that could have been the next Avengers movie had they done Avengers Secret Invasion and like led up to the Scrolls take wanting to take over and like who do you trust, and you could have had all
Right.
the cameos, but it didn't happen.
Is this maybe a situation where they're trying to speed run like various events? Like, because you're right, Secret Invasion should have been a three. It should have been a three movie deal. The next Marvels, the next, Sam Jackson had, or even like the show sort of a prelude, Captain Marvel, one other person, and then an Avengers movie. Bam, that's you got a trilogy within the MCU, but they wanted to speed run this, and they did a disservice to a very good and interesting storyline that actually had wide ranging implications in the comics and should have had wide ranging implications in the MCU. But
Yeah.
they nerfed a perfectly good antagonist in the Scrolls. Like they nerfed them and kind of took them off the board. They did Maria Hill dirty as hell. And Sam Jackson is diminished in my eyes. Not him, the actor, but his, Nick Fury is diminished in my eyes as a result of this show, to the point where he shows up in the Marvels, they act like the shit didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, nobody knows. Nobody knows what was going on.
it's like, I'm just like, are y'all working together at the studio? I'm trying to figure this out because
Oh,
y'all sure
I
ain't
Look,
acting
those
like it.
are like different rooms, different rooms. They don't like to disturb each other.
I think it's less about speed running through it. I think more about just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing what sticks. Because like, look at the Eternals. Like they gave us the Eternals, and they were hoping that it would be popular, but it wasn't. So now we're hearing rumors that there is no plan for Eternals 2. But I still think it's highly likely that they'll include Eternals in future other movies. Like we already know that the Celestial will be in Captain America 5. Or 4. But I think they might bring the Eternals plot back in, weave it into something else. But who knows? Like Blade is up in the air. Like all this stuff, they don't know what they're doing as much as I think they did before. Um,
I,
I think they actually didn't know what they were doing before either, but it
it's
was all
true, yeah.
new and it worked. It was easier to make it work.
it's
Or at
kind
the
of
very
that,
least, we knew they were planning for Thanos. At the very least,
right.
from Avengers
No,
1,
not from the beginning. Like
not
I
from
think
not
that
from
if
Iron Man, but from Avengers.
I
He was
think
in
that if
Avengers 1.
the post credit with Thanos like if it hadn't worked, if it hadn't piqued the interest of all the viewers, that probably would have been dead in the water too.
Yeah.
But
Well,
it worked though. It was like one of the earlier post credits. Like by now, everyone knows these post credits are hit or miss, and we may or may not get follow up. But back then, I feel like that was a big deal.
I think Polly's onto it that they stumbled into this into like in retrospect, you're just like, wow, they were geniuses. I'm like, no, they were
No, no,
making
no.
some
They
things.
actually wrote about this in
Yeah,
the book, and
yeah.
I think I mentioned that before. They had
Mm-hmm.
this book about the history of Marvel Studios, and they don't shy away from the fact that they got lucky with some ideas because they were like I remember them saying that they had different ideas of what B-list team to bring up like to the big screen, and they had like the clandestine and the Power Pack, I think, was mentioned, and the Avengers. So it wasn't like it was an accident. Really, it was
Right.
an
Mm-hmm.
accident that it worked.
And now they have to do the thing that they do in the comics which to me, I'm like, are y'all not doing this? Where you get all of your writers together, sit in a room for like a weekend, 3, 4 days, and do the board like this.
Well, the thing is that they do that, but as far as like I know, from the book mostly, they do that with like most executive and producers, and they pen out the ideas, and then they go to the writers. But I think that they should be inviting writers to that too, or
Yeah, the
like they should
writers
have like a
retreats. Yeah,
storyboard, or not a storyboard, but a story group like Star Wars used
right.
to have at least somebody who keeps track of the lore and where each character is.
Which
I mean,
they have people that do that. Well, I'm more like, every year there's an event or two in in the comics. So they have to get together for like a week and say, you're doing this, you got this character, this is how this time, and they all sort it all out so that it makes sense. And what we're seeing now in phase 4 and 5 is less of that. And it seemed cohesive at the end of phase 3, and that is because it was at that point they realized halfway into phase 2, they're like, all right, this is what we're building into. And so everyone sort of gets their pieces in order. Now that they have twice as much stuff coming out, or they did until recently. Twice as much stuff is coming out. It's all various pieces that are on the board, and they're not necessarily coordinated. So hopefully they're getting that together. I'm confident now that
well,
they slowed down a little bit that they're going to get it together.
well, do you guys think that it's like the end of She-Hulk where they've got that Kevin robot making all the decisions, and you got
I
the
wish
writers?
that were true.
That's possible.
Look, they might even, I mean, not even lying, throw an AI in there to sort of,
Oh God.
no, I mean, like,
Okay, that would explain some decisions.
yeah,
Like
generative
Ultron
AI
is
is at this
running the
point.
MCU,
Yeah,
not
I mean,
Ultron.
it's good enough that it can sort of summarize what's going on. So, and then suggest stuff.
But like, I do think with Endgame and Infinity War, like they had the roadmap right there. It's from the comics. Like if you bring in Thanos, his number one storyline is going to be Infinity War. Like it would be dumb not to do that or adapt it. And like they followed the cookbook and it was successful. Whereas like
Mhm.
with Secret Invasion, they did not follow the cookbook, so
Exactly.
it was not
Actually, I
successful.
wouldn't say that they
They did a
followed the
TikTok
cookbook
thing.
with Thanos and like
Really?
Infinity War. I mean, they did not exactly follow all the steps from the comics. They took something from the original ones, like they took something from
Hmm.
the later versions. They actually mixed and matched, so it worked.
Well,
But
yeah.
they didn't exactly have the recipe.
Which
They
is
just
which is
mixed a
fine.
lot of stuff. Yeah.
Well, I don't want them. I'm not saying I want them to make exact copies, but I do think like the general premise, like I don't know if you guys felt the same way, but I remember walking out of Infinity War and after everyone or half the people dust away, and the whole audience was like dead silent and like shocked, except for
We
me.
had people cry.
I'm like this is. I know it's going to happen. Like in the comics, half of the universe was blipped out, and then or snapped out, and then the Avengers save the day in the next part. Like it was to me, it wasn't as like shocking. I don't know. Were you guys
Yeah, I
shocked or
remember
was it
walking
like
out of the theater and people were standing like crying, hugging each other.
yeah?
I
I was
mean,
like, why?
I ain't gonna lie, because I thought Tom Holland did a really good job on,
Oh yeah.
and between him and RDJ, they sold the shit out of that particular scene. So like, it got a tear out of me just because I liked the performance. But I
Mhm.
was like, look, y'all chill out. Next part, they're gonna come back and fix everything. Now, to their credit, they didn't fix it the way they fixed it in a way I was like, oh, it's like they put together, they dropped a vase and they're like, we're gonna glue this bitch together. It's not the same. It's a vase. It still does the vase thing, but you can see all the cracks and everything. So things are different. It's not exactly so it wasn't a like people like to say like the multiverse is the get out of jail free card for the MCU. Anything that's done can be undone. Any person that's dead can be brought back. And that's true enough. But at the least Endgame was like, yeah, things are going to be fixed, but they're not going to be the same. And
Yeah.
that's, and if anything, if they drop the ball at all in the post, end game world, it's failing to really look into how the world is after 5 years of half the people being gone and now they're back. Captain America, Falcon and Winter Soldier tried to talk about that a little bit. Spider-Man, No Way Home and Far From Home tried to sort of talk about that. But
Even WandaVision
yeah,
with
WandaVision
Monica.
did a little bit, but there's an awful lot of these shows that act like nothing happened, or movies that act like no one's traumatized. No what that none of this is being addressed, and it's weird.
I think
That's my
that's
biggest
that's
failing
kind of
to
the
me.
nature of Marvel comics, though, isn't it? Because you know, it's like our world, but also it's not. Like when you've got Galactus popping up every Thursday,
Yeah,
like
we got
That's
like
that
I mean that's
Sunnydale
I get
thing
it,
to
going.
but
what degree do they get used to like insane things happening? Like, is that even? Or I mean, are we used to insane things happening?
I
Or
wonder
Let's just
because
think about it. Would you be shocked if Galactus just showed up out of nowhere right now? I don't think we would be shocked. Like,
I, I
not
think we
I
have
I
really.
an
think I think the MCU is like our world where crazy things have started to happen and be a little more commonplace, but not commonplace enough that half the people go away for 5 years and then come back. And
yeah.
it's not traumatizing to everyone. I just don't believe, like, look, you can be like, oh, well, it's like the boys.
So
People are
so
used to
you're saying
superheroes running
So
around.
you're
But yeah,
saying
that's true.
everybody should have turned into Hawkeye Ronin after the blip? Like my family
Well,
is dead.
at the very least, because remember in the blip, it's not just that half the people were gone. Some people literally died because half the people were gone. We saw at the end of Infinity War, somebody definitely died when that helicopter ran into a building. So some people are going to be like, "Oh, they snapped everyone. Everyone suddenly came back. Where's my husband? Where's my kid? Where? No, they're dead. They're
Yeah, not
dead. Dead.
everybody gets to come back. Yeah.
And even you thought that they were blipped. No, they weren't. They're just dead.
Yeah,
Or
but honestly, you can't waste a lot of time like building a universe and the narrative about the heroes. You can't waste a lot of time on like regular people. It's like when you have like a big event like Civil War in the comics, and you keep cutting to the regular people, but like it was Frontline, I think, that was focused on
yeah,
regular
I love
people,
Frontline by
and
the way.
Like I'm glad
yeah,
you
that's
brought
very
Frontline. Save
cool,
that thought for
but
later.
unfortunately, we don't have time for that in the movies necessarily.
I want the freaking heroes that we are following to act like anything happened. Just anything. I
I
would love
mean,
for
they
them to
did.
show
It was like
like
you listed a bunch of shows, but also Black Widow, and also I mean everything is talked about it. Like Spider Man. I mean, yeah, they've had different tones about it, but like
And they process it
um,
differently too.
hmm
I
and they
mean
had different
like think
experiences with
about
it.
this. Think about Kamala Khan. She is, as far as I know, she lived through the snap. So she didn't get snapped, right? But as far as I know, nobody she knows got snapped either, right? Same
It's
thing with
Well,
very
that
selective.
Shang-Chi.
that is one property that I
Same
don't
thing with
recall them
Shang-Chi.
digging into it
Yeah.
as much because it started after the end game.
But it's like, so you got to think. So Kamala is 16. She was 11 when this shit happened, right? Think about all the kids that witnessed 9/11 at 11 years old. That was a serious thing to them. They are still dealing with that. I'm still dealing with it. We're all still like, holy shit, right? So,
Like,
and it's taken
yeah,
20 years for us to finally, like, I don't, this is 5 years. And then suddenly these people come back. No one's acknowledging it.
and
Like,
this is
they're,
the constant dilemma of Marvel. It's like in this franchise, it's like we want to tell a continuing story, but we also want to make it accessible to brand new people, especially something like Ms. Marvel that's like meant to bring in young people, meant to bring in
right.
people of color, people who might have never watched Marvel before. Um, I can't remember if they mentioned it or not, but I do recall that in Quantumania, Ant Man's daughter, she survived the blip, even though they recast her. Ant Man didn't, so I feel like that was part of
And
it.
they to be fair to them in Quantumania, they have sort of dealt with it, and also you know her family is a little bit more equipped to sort of deal with the situation because of Janet's being gone and then coming back and all that. But she, you know, she is you can see a little shades of it in her and how she wants to create the technology to detect, you know, possible problems coming from the quantum. I get that. There's
But
little bits of it. I just would love for any of the writers to just put shades of it. They don't have to spend five
the
minutes
biggest
talking about
one, the biggest one was Hawkeye. Like he
it.
had
Yeah.
post-traumatic stress throughout his whole
Mhm.
series, and it was like just the way he interacted with his family, the way he tried to resist taking on Kate as a sidekick, like, and the way he dealt with Echo, and because of his actions during the blip, like I feel like that was heavily baked into that show, and
I think that the
I'm
Falcon and Winter Soldier dealt with
yep,
it
that one
also
too.
Yeah,
well.
Mm-hmm.
that was a good, and
Yep.
they made good compelling bad guys and then
Yeah.
ruin them at the end. But yes,
Yeah, basically, yeah, the whole story was based on that.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
And then his personal experience, like Falcon's Captain America's and personal experience of dealing with it, of like trying to get that loan on something, trying to
right.
figure out his life. That was pretty
That was
great to
cool.
see. Yeah, because it's
Yeah,
like not when you what you're doing when you're being like in uniform and fighting evil,
and I'm
but
like,
what you do behind the scenes in your
Tony, you
life.
could not have written that man at Tech. Like
Base.
you
Well,
were blips.
yeah. The other, I mean, that I thought that was a good that I to me that was a good kind of analogy for soldiers and in and out of uniform and especially black soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
The historically speaking in America, weren't allowed to. They didn't benefit from the GI Bill post World War II. Didn't benefit from like the loans and everything that a lot of GIs did get to sort of help them. A lot of basically there was a lot of a denial of opportunity, even though they did the same things that white soldiers did. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was a good analogy, considering what Falcon and the Winter Soldier was talking about. That's the thoughtfulness that I need from some of these things. Again, I know maybe I'm beating this drum a little too hard, but people that were blipped and came back have a different perspective and thoughts about the world than people who lived through 5 years of missing these people who moved on. And I don't care who you are, something had happened to you. And I would love for them to just sort of acknowledge that everyone has this collective trauma, even if it's just small things like, being a little obsessive about like, where are you? How, looking after people. People
Like,
should be like that.
can I ask you guys a question? Just because now that we're discussing this, I'm thinking like, okay, so the blip was like 5 years, right?
Mhm.
So how was Spider-Man blipped? And then when he came back, he was still in high school with all his friends.
Oh,
Well,
how?
he
Well,
wasn't with all his friends because, like, some people grew up and they were actually talking about that. There was this guy who was after
Right, there was
MJ.
that one guy.
Yeah.
So
who
so
was a
But
so within
most
kid?
the
of his
Spider-Man,
friends, lucky for him, did get
they all
blipped
got
too.
blipped.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
It was very
it's
selective. It
yeah.
wasn't as random as Thanos said.
So it was
It would have been
Spider-Man,
more interesting if they had
Michelle
if they had done
Jones,
it.
and his friend Ned, they
Yeah.
all got blipped.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Okay.
would have been more interesting if it had been truly random. Like
Yeah.
if he would have had to deal with the fact that, Ned is now in college or, that his best friend is gone, right? And now he's got to sort of deal with, or even MJ, that would have broken his fucking heart. But still, if MJ
Yes.
had been gone, but still, it's, I think this
His heart
is,
is broken anyway. Could have been that way.
but I accept that comics are just like, look, I want this character. I'm gonna conveniently make it possible that this character. So whoever needs to be blipped got blipped, and whoever didn't, whoever I want for my story, so they conveniently didn't.
Right.
That would
So
have been
wait,
a
what?
great opportunity for them to bring Gwen Stacy in though. But then it'd be weird too because she was 5 years. Remember how that one guy was crushing on MJ and he was like, oh I'm your age. Let's try to
Yeah.
date. And she's just like, no, you're a kid to me.
You're a baby.
Yes.
I have not seen
That
that movie in a
was
while.
so
I can't
weird.
Yeah,
remember
you should
too
watch.
much
No
about
Way
it.
Home's not the best one. It's still pretty good.
I Okay, I like it.
Far From Home.
So,
It's I think I don't think I think
oh,
it's
I like, yeah, Far From Home. I like.
yeah,
Don't
Far From
particularly
Home
like
is
No Way Home.
it's the
I mean,
least it's the least of them to me, but it's still really good.
yeah, I like them all to a degree. I mean, like there at this point, there's so many Spider-Man movies that I can't even really rank them. Uh,
Oh,
I mean,
fine.
I like something about all of them, but
I mean,
um,
okay, if we need to pick the best one, it would be Spider-Verse for me.
Yeah,
okay.
hands
I
down.
mean, I mean, hard to argue with that. But as far as the live action ones, who is your
Live
favorite
action
live
ones.
action
I mean,
The
Spider-Man?
future Miles Morales Spider-Man movie.
best live action one to me is oof. Oh man, I recently saw two also.
I'll tell you mine. It's Andrew Garfield, hands down. Like he's like I like him the best. I don't think his second movie was that great. I like the first one. I mean,
Yeah,
even
that's
that
good.
one, people argue things about it, but I don't know. I like him the best as Peter Parker.
I remember when it
It's
was like the most hated franchise of Spider-Man movies ever made. And then suddenly everyone decided it was okay. I thought it was okay. I like, probably like, I like the Tom Holland movies the most, and the first one would be my favorite. And then the Garfield first one movie also would be pretty great.
yeah, I don't think it's like you're asking me who's my favorite kid. Like it's like I can tell you the ones that
Oh, you
my
know who it is.
well, my least favorite kid out of them is Spider-Man 3. Uh but
You mean that with Toby?
yeah, Spider-Man
That
3.
movie was
That's
kind of rough.
that's my least favorite. Um I'd and I really like Tom Holland's my favorite of the Spider-Man. Um I guess maybe my favorite one, oddly enough, it might be tied between Spider-Man 2 and Homecoming. I love Homecoming so much.
Yeah,
It's
Homecoming is
like
amazing.
it is to me the proper distillation of Spider-Man. Whereas, Toby's Spider-Man is oddly too old, which is
Oh
it's
yeah,
weird
yeah.
to
He's
say
like a
that.
30-year-old guy hanging out in high school for no
Yeah.
reason.
And
And
then Andrews is too cool. His Spider-Man's too cool too.
I've
He
heard
he
that criticism,
he
yes.
but I love and
well,
I honestly I
nerds
love
were
his though.
different back then.
Yeah. Well, I had heard a lot of bad about the Amazing Spider-Man, so I never watched them and then I finally broke down in getting ready for No Way Home. And I was like, who the hell was telling me these are bad? Because I like both of them a lot. And Spider-Man 2, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'll defend that to the death.
Oh, that was
It's
Oh,
it's
good.
really?
it's goofy as hell in some ways, and its biggest sin is that Rhino sucks. But like everything else,
No,
I'm
its
with.
biggest sin is that Green Goblin sucks, in my opinion. Like I'm like,
He
what
Well,
are
was
I
they
mean, you
never
doing with
talk
that
supposed to
about
be
plot?
great.
Amazing Spider-Man 2. I mean, like Dane DeHaan's pretty good as Harry, and his descent into being his dad is fun. But he's also sort of
Oh,
justified.
also, in my opinion, I I just gotta say, Electro kind of sucked too. I mean,
Yeah, I mean,
feel
he's
free to
he's
disagree.
definitely a different. Like he's not the
Actually, I
Electro
liked
from the
him.
comics the Electro from the comics is like a hardcore villain. He's a hardcore, not villain but criminal. So that's different. But he was robbing banks with electrical powers, which is he's barely better than the Shocker in that sense. But
Okay, but like Silkman.
yeah, I love Stiltman. Don't Hey, I will hear no Stiltman slander. Thank you.
Stilt Man for Daredevil Born
If
Again.
it's him, Forbush Man, and I'm trying to think of another one that's like the Shocker. Really, he's the
Kangaroo
one I will
Man,
hear.
the
I will hear
kangaroo.
no Shocker slander. I am so tired of all these writers trying to make him a joke. Damn it, uh, he's not a joke. Probably
Well,
because I read Max Landis's fan fiction about that made Shocker awesome. So let's not talk shit about my dude.
I just really didn't like Jamie Foxx's shtick when he was
Yeah,
Electro in that movie, and it was apparently so bad they decided to change it for No Way Home and to give him an entirely different look and personality. But
fair.
I'd say it
I
was
mean,
received bad. and that's why they changed
He
it.
was like
Not
this
because it
weird. He
was
was
bad.
this weird
I
stereotype,
thought it was
like nerd
bad.
stereotype.
You could disagree. That's fine. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. My when I saw these movies in theaters, I liked the first one. I did not like the second one. That was just my opinion.
Right.
That's
I
fine.
did. I thought that I was glad that they went there of trying to adapt Gwen Stacy actually being killed, but
Mhm.
it was kind of devastating in the sense that a lot of people at the time were praising their chemistry, Emma
Right.
Stone and Andrew Garfield,
Oh,
and they were
she's
actually together.
Emma Stone's great as Gwen Stacy. She's so good that I'm just like, how did y'all? I mean, I get not bringing her back, but like, I hate we didn't get a third one. That's to me.
But like also that chemistry and the whole thing that they had in this movie, I think that is exactly what solved devastating that made the scene of her death devastating.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah,
wouldn't have worked if they had zero chemistry.
Like
yeah.
to me, the chemistry between her and Andrew Garfield is better than all of the other. Like it's better than Tom Holland and Zendaya, better than Toby and can I say her name? You know what I'm talking about.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten
Kirsten
Dunst.
Dunst. It's better than those. Like I believe them so much that like it. Yeah, you're right. It is. Even though I know what's going to happen, I knew it was going to happen. But still, it's. In fact, as soon as they cast her, I was like, man, that death scene is going to be something because like that's
Gotta defend though the chemistry in the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies because those are teenagers. Their chemistry is not supposed to be that crazy. It's supposed to be awkward and weird like that.
yeah.
Well,
Oh,
apparently,
I think
I'm
they
not saying
nailed
it's
it
bad.
are still
perfectly.
going strong in real life.
Because
though,
like Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, they are adults again, pretending to be
Right.
teenagers. This world, like, at least they portrayed teenagers very well.
Right.
But
Oh,
why
no,
did
I love
Tom-
Zendaya. I love Zendaya and Tom Holland's dynamic. I really like the MJ character actually.
But why are they more like their characters in real life than they are in the movies? Like I feel like Tom and Zendaya in real life, like she's practically a model. She's practically, and then sometimes she has the red hair, or even without it, she's giving MJ vibes. Whereas in the movie, she's giving Michelle Jones vibes, and I'm like, okay, I'll
they
accept it
had
because
to
it's
they
different.
were like let's dress her down or something. I don't know.
That's called acting.
That's the Hollywood thing of like, oh, here's this really attractive person. How can we let's put them in baggy clothes? I'm like, okay, sure, why not? Now I don't believe
but
you.
that I'd say that she does this with attitude too. Like
Yeah.
she's that great because she completely changes.
Yeah.
But,
All right, guys,
and that's amazing.
Love her.
I think we gotta shift from the MCU talk and
Let's
get
talk
a
about
little bit into things. I still haven't done an intro yet, so I might just do it here and maybe edit it in later.
Yeah. Go ahead, man.
All right, so let's see how this goes.
I'll be quiet. You go ahead and do the intro.
Hey everybody, welcome to another DMVCBN Comic Book Club. I'm your host Freddie, coming to you live from Washington, D.C. Today is Saturday, August 17th, 2024. And thanks to all returning viewers and subscribers. We actually got a bunch of new subscribers last week, so thank you all so much. And if you're brand new, welcome. So today, I've got two friends returning to the show. Let's say hello to Polly. Hi, hey, Polly.
Hi.
And we've got Mo as well. Hey, Mo.
What's going on, guys?
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. We've got a lot to talk about. So glad you could be here. I guess we'll get right into it. Like today, I want to kind of talk about the news first, and then maybe we'll get into some comics. We'll start with the new comics, and then we'll do some older comics if we have time. So, news. I'm going to start with one piece of news that I think Polly knows about. Like, Polly, did you watch that new Watchmen Chapter 1?
Yes, I have. I actually have. Just like recently because I had no idea. Like I think like most people, I had no idea that was coming out.
Mm-hmm.
It was completely oblivious, and then I saw that it was out, and obviously, yeah.
So tell us about it. Was it good? Was it bad? You
okay? It
recommend
was pretty good, and like I said in my review, I was really impressed that I think I don't remember the comic book really well. Like I don't remember it page by page, but I think that's a faithful adaptation, and it has some beautiful visuals. It kind of has the same style, visual style as What If, which I know not everybody likes, but like it works for this show for sure. And I think it's like for some reason it was the reception is better with this show than with What If. And it has a fun voice cast, like a lot of professional, really great voice actors, including Katie Sackhoff, who's like one of my favorites. But for some reason, in some scenes, and I think I said that again in my review, in some scenes, I'd say that it was like voice acting wasn't exactly fitting the scene. So the emotions weren't genuine enough. So that was my only issue with this chapter 1, and I think it's like a 2-parter, so we're gonna see chapter 2 sometime soon, probably.
I was wondering about that, like that chapter 1 title. I was like, does that mean they're going like issue by issue, or is it going to be 12 chapters, or is it going to be?
Yeah, I think it's going to be 2 because they the first one ends I think like at the point where Rorschach gets arrested, and I think that there's like more. There's definitely more to tell, and I think that it probably would have made sense as a three-chapter thing, or more chapters. I don't know, but I heard that it was going to be a 2-parter.
Okay. So yeah, like I said, it's got that What If style of animation. I looked at the trailer. I was not really sold on it, like just because like I don't need another adaptation of Watchmen personally. I mean, maybe I'll watch it eventually. Right now, it's you can buy it for $19.99 on Amazon Prime, and it's not available for rent or anything yet. But you know, maybe it'll come to Max eventually. I don't know. Like those Crisis movies. Blu-ray, okay. Like I think you've got J. Michael Straczynski as one of the writers, and I think he said he really didn't write anything. He really just tried to make it as true to Alan Moore as possible, but Alan Moore does not want his name on anything that DC does these days. So that's interesting.
Good for Dave Gibbon, though, because Alan Moore traditionally, whenever they do these adaptations and he gets his royalty checks, he usually is just like, nah, give them to Dave. So
yeah, I think Dave he's credited and probably paid, and he's probably pretty happy with this. But and deservedly so. He did a great job, you know, making this landmark story. But you know, I'm just wondering, like, is it necessary after we've had the Zack Snyder movie, which was a pretty faithful adaptation, except for like the ending? And then we had the HBO show.
Well, the point, actually, the ending was not exactly like in the comics, but it was the same premise, I think.
Yeah, so, yeah.
He changed it. Yeah, he changed the story so that instead of Ozymandias, instead of, you know, creating this big, you know, monstrosity to sort of make up this alien threat, instead turns the world against Dr. Manhattan. So it's an odd choice. It's an odd choice to make Dr. Manhattan the big bad, and you know, instead of aliens. But I mean, I think it worked decently.
Yeah,
I like the Watchmen movie.
Yeah. I thought it was fine. Like I was never mad about the change, but I guess some purists might be. Like, is that the reason this exists, or they just want to make an animated version, or?
I think that is exactly the reason it exists, and probably also like the situation with Zack Snyder altogether, because he's not the most favorite person in the world.
Yeah, I think it exists because DC is never gonna not monetize Watchmen. They have. Do y'all know Watchmen, the graphic novel, has been in print since the 80s, and it is never going out of print.
They recently just released the new smaller version of it. That's their compact.
Well, the reason why is beyond just, people are clamoring for Watchmen. Yeah, I mean, that's true enough. Part of it is contractual. As long as they keep it in print, they don't have to, no rights and no, anything goes back to Alan Moore. So they've been keeping it in constant print in part to keep it away from him. Like this, I mean, Alan Moore even says this straight up. So as far as that, it's their golden goose, if you will. It's an evergreen property. Like Watchmen is never not going to be something that people will be interested in because every few years, 5 years, people are like, oh my God, you got to check out Watchmen. It's never going to stop doing. So as long as they can keep it in print and they can exploit it, they will. That you even saw that when they did Watchmen 2 and all that other shit that they did in the comics.
Well, someone did mention online, and Polly, maybe you can verify this for us. They said that this movie um, eliminates any mention of like racial unrest, and it kind of cuts out all of Rorschach's uh, perspectives on race.
Oh, is that real?
Yeah. I think I forgot that part from the books, but yeah, I think it's just removes that, removes all that, and focuses on the main story. And I think it like removes the part when he was doing his own like detective stuff.
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
Come to
What?
think of it,
Okay,
that's not
that's
in
crazy.
in the movie.
That's weird. Like, why would
that's a
you?
pretty controversial decision, to say the
It's
least.
but is it controversial though? Let's
Kind of,
consider
because like looking
considering
at
the.
the. Go ahead.
I'm just saying, considering the climate we're in, we're we are in, at least here in America, we are in another one of those moments where people are like, that's an inconvenient and uncomfortable truth about our world. Let's just excise it from our memory or excise it from our history. Let's not talk about it. Let's not teach it. And to take that part, or to take the, let's just say, it's not even unsavory. The shitty parts about Rorschach, he is Batman in his most fascist and racist incarnation, right? He has a very black and white view of the world that includes minorities suck, right? And so taking that away from him kind of defangs some of the aspects of the end game of Watchmen. The end game of
It
Watchmen
removes a
is,
lot of the nuance
Kind
that
of
Alan Moore
like
brought to the
yeah,
story.
like,
also plays into that thing when people idolize him and think that he's a hero,
yeah.
which he's
And
not.
so like you're not he's if he is if Rorschach is not a extremely flawed, terrible guy who thinks that he literally, like, he starts out, his first thing you see him in Watchmen is he's shit talking everybody. He's like, you're all filth and disgusting and degenerates and you're all gay and everything. Like, he's saying all these terrible things, but he's the good guy. And he spends his time beating up people, right, that don't look
Well,
like him.
I
And
think that's
so
the point,
Sees
that like he's
himself
not
as the good
exactly
guy.
good. Yeah, like he's like none of these characters are good. Like they're protagonists of the story, but they're all flawed. They're all like
yeah.
arguably messed up. So I think that's what one of the appeal of the original Watchmen comic. So it's just kind of interesting for them to minimize uh, you know, race in this story, whereas it played a huge part in the HBO Max series with
Yeah.
Regina King. And it was celebrated for that. It seems kind of like at odds with that in a way.
Yeah.
At least from what I'm hearing, I haven't seen it yet, so I can't speak too much on it.
I hate to say it, but not learning that makes me want to watch this less. It did, and I understand, this makes me also understand why Alan Moore is just like, I don't want anything to do with this crap. Because I said certain things in here. These are my messages, and I understand you can take different things from it, but if you are literally excising important, stuff in here, you're taking away meaning, and people that watch this are going to take away the wrong things from it. They're not gonna
Well,
get
I, I
my ideas.
I will say, from what it sounds like I feel it sounds like the majority of the story is still in place, and it sounds like just a softening of it so that people can look at Rorschach more favorably and less like
Yes.
questionably, which
Which is a
is
terrible
I
idea.
hate that. I hate
and
that.
yeah,
No,
like
Rorschach
that's
Rorschach is the thing is at the end of the day, he is incidentally, very incidentally correct. And I mean incidentally in the sense that, he does want to prevent this thing that's happening. It does kill a lot of people, but if it had, let's say, if this thing instead of going in the middle of New York City instead went in Harlem, he'd be like, "That's fine," because it's targeting the right people to him.
mm,
So to take away this fundamentally, terrible aspect of his character to soften him is bullshit to me. Rorschach sucks. Like it should be clear he sucks. If you agree with him or if you are anyway idolizing him, something wrong with you, and that should be
yeah.
clear. And that the story makes it very clear that him being right doesn't necessarily mean that he's good. And
I,
like, I don't want to soften that.
listen,
And
I agree with
again,
your
we
point.
still have chapter 2,
But
so
I
we'll
mean,
see
it
what
could
it
be.
what it does.
I'm sorry. I'm really thrilled by this because like I don't like that shit at all.
Well, listen, I agree with your point, and like I think this goes back to some of our previous discussions. Like we've talked about how Deadpool. I don't think Deadpool is a role model. I don't think he. I don't think he ever claims to be a role model. But it is kind of interesting that his like popularity and leading man, sort of charisma ends up making him kind of a role model for people. Um, I
Not
mean, I
for
don't.
me. Like, what kind of role model is that?
I'd rather Deadpool be the role model than Rorschach.
And
I
that's
prefer
fair. That's
neither.
I mean, like everyone has their own opinions about it. I'm just saying, like, not only Deadpool, but we also talked a little bit about Batman Cake Crusader. Mo, when you were on the podcast last time, we were talking about the fact that this is like a post-racial society almost, but it's explicitly set in the 40s. It's like okay, so like when you do stuff like that and you don't really like make it explicit what your goal is, people can take it in different ways. Like it's hard to say at this point in time whether choices like that are going to be good for us in the long run or bad for us in the long run if people are taking it the wrong way. Like I
Right.
think most of us are taking it the right way from the reception I've seen. Like just like it's being inclusive, it's giving more characters time to shine, it's highlighting people of color, queer people, all that stuff. But at the same time, it's a little bit of it's obfuscating
Whitewashing. Let's
history.
call it
It's
what it is.
whitewashing his
Whitewashing.
yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of strange. Like
Yeah,
well,
but
is it whitewashing? It's kind of like the opposite of whitewashing.
Well,
we
Well,
don't really need
whitewashing
to
it
always.
not in the sense of a character being of color and then being played by a white person, but whitewashing in the sense of covering over,
the
you know,
history, the
yeah,
real
covering
history.
over like inconvenient or uncomfortable things.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but
Yeah.
like I'm trying to say that we don't always need to be to just portray the negative things, and sometimes we just want to see the characters set in like characters of color set in a different time
Mm.
and see the alternative history. It's just that Watchmen are not necessarily the situations where it can work,
Right. I
Well,
agree.
but
I just
sometimes it's okay and it works and it's fine.
Yeah.
well, I just want to say, but before we move on from Watchmen, is that I can't find the picture, but someone online posted a funny picture of Rorschach saying, "I'm voting for Kamala." Like, I just thought that was kind of funny.
I'm like, yes, he would never, ever, ever, ever. He's
Well,
I
maybe
don't think he would vote.
no, Rorschach is definitely a birther. He's a 9/11 truther. He's a QAnon. He's all of that dialed up to 20. Like he's that guy. But also he
maybe he
likes, yeah, he's
maybe
a
he
proud
was in
boy.
the '80s, but then he came around in the 2020s. I don't know.
He's a proud no, the kid Rorschach's a proud boy. He is definitely he was at Charlotte talking about they will not replace us. He's that guy.
Well, I hope that he can come around. I actually hope he does vote for Kamala.
I
I don't know.
mean, we'll take
We'll
it, I
see.
guess. Was it a race? What was it? A raced realists for Kamal Kamala Harris? That would be a hell of a Zoom call.
All right, so that's Watchmen. Let's go ahead and talk about the other news, the big news that came out this week. Those who have been following the VCBN podcast, know we reviewed X-Men 97 when it was airing. We had a great time with it, but we also had one elephant in the room that was like an unanswered question until about now, like the firing of Beau DeMayo. Like he was fired like basically like one day before the premiere, and Disney was pretty much both he and Disney were not giving us the details until about recently. Um, so I just want to go over just a few of the facts before we kind of discuss it. Um, the other day, Beau DeMayo posted online. I'll share a picture. He said that he was very grateful to have worked on X-Men 97, collaborating with some amazingly talented folks. But it felt it pressing for him to speak up. And then he said that because he had posted a piece of X-Men related fan art for Gay Pride in June, that Marvel sent a letter notifying him that they'd stripped his season 2 credits due to the post. And he calls this the latest in the troubling pattern that he suffered while working on X-Men 97 and Blade. And he said he'll have more to say soon, but he's going to step back from social media to find a safer space for him to be out, proud and nerdy. So here's the picture, basically like a shirtless, pantsless Cyclops, but he's got the underpants. I mean, it's nothing particularly shocking, but that was his reason for, for at least losing his credits. But then people started pointing out that, he was actually fired in March. And then Disney immediately clapped back saying, actually, there are other reasons why you were like let go is because of your egregious behavior. They didn't go into a lot of details. But then there was an insider of the industry. Apparently, Jeff Snyder is the one who says that Beau DeMayo allegedly sent nude photos of himself in sexually suggestive hero poses to several young male staffers while working on X-Men 97, saying they could be used as quote unquote inspiration. And there was another report that said he continued to do this even after he was asked to stop. And it was also said that he allegedly groped an assistant multiple times and emotionally, physically abusive to other staffers. So, first things first, I just want to say, these are serious allegations, and we want to be mindful that. Sorry, I hate to use the word mindful now because that has become a meme over the last week. But generally, though, I think it's fair to say that in a situation like this, you don't necessarily want the victims to have to come forward because we're trying to protect their safety, right? Like if they were actually, abused, then it's in the company's interest to like protect them, right? Like that's why we don't have named sources coming out accusing him of things, and this is not like a legal case yet. Like,
I mean,
Beau DeMayo,
did, since considering that his lawyers spoke up.
Right, so
Just,
that's
I
the
think,
next
like,
part. So then, yeah, his lawyer spoke up and said that he's going to fight this in court. He's going to bring it to a court case. And he has his own details that he wants to share one by one. But that might result in his victims being named, having to come forward, if and more things being brought to light.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like the fact that we thought that Disney was like trying to hide something or acting shady, which they were. They might have been doing that to protect someone else. So, but like the stuff kept coming out, and I think that this whole situation is a result of like the constant conversation that's been going on, especially after the success of the first season.
Well, I
Yes.
think part of it's he was talking about, oh, they didn't invite me to the Emmys thing, that
Hmm.
there's none of that, which I have to say, I'm like, why the fuck would they?
Right.
That's a real, like, y'all, you're fired clearly for something. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how y'all felt at because remember X-Men 97 hit, everyone was like, oh, but right before it was like, all right, he got fired. No one said anything. And that's in March, or not March. That was in, what was it? April? Whenever it
It
came
was
out.
in Mar it was
Uh,
in late March. So
yeah, March.
I
So he got fired, and we hear nothing. We've been
hmm
speculating, from all of us have been like, what happened? What happened?
yeah.
And all I thought in the back of my mind is it can't be good, because in
Yeah,
Hollywood,
most people immediately sided with him over the corporation because like they're big and evil. But I
yeah,
think that another thing is why this is coming out now is the fact that Disney's been in some hot water
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
with
That's
the
another thing to mention. Yeah,
legal
there's a
issues. Yeah,
lawsuit brought against them, or wrongful death, because a woman died at a restaurant on
Disney
Disney
Resort. Yeah,
property. Yeah. And Disney's lawyers are claiming that they can't sue Disney because they have Disney Plus, and they have foregone all their rights to sue them
which
about anything,
which
which is insane.
apparently is my understanding. This is my very limited understanding. Is they bought the tickets through the website or something. Basically, there's legal reason that they can claim that, and it's not just because Disney Plus. It is not, you sign up for Disney Plus, you can't ever sue us. Apparently, it's the way they acquired the tickets. That's part of the clause or whatever. But there's the Gina Carano lawsuit going on right now, that she's suing them for firing
didn't she
her
drop
because of
it
her.
or something?
Yeah, she was being a shitty right wing troll.
Well,
Does she
yeah,
have the
but
same lawyer? Is it the same lawyer,
I don't think
Brian
it's the same
Friedman?
lawyer, but there's that going on, and they're trying to get that thrown out. But this whole thing with Beau, to me, I was like, he did something, or he's accused of something, and they were trying to handle it quietly and just move on, because these most corporations aren't interested in big headlines
Scandals.
about anybody.
Yeah.
So they were
Right.
just like, okay, cool. Whatever happened, we don't want to talk about it. We won't talk about it. You don't talk about it. Just move on with your life, and we'll be good.
Right.
That's what happened. Remember, from here until it's August. So it's been months, and we've heard nothing. And all I thought was, like, I didn't hear what I consider to be the word that you have to hear to know that this is really, we had a disagreement, but we're going to move on, which is
We had a parting of
schedule.
ways.
No schedule. You didn't hear scheduling conflict. You didn't hear amicable separation. You didn't hear creative differences. Those words are, we disagreed. We cannot come to some kind of meeting of the minds where we can keep working together. We're going to move on. And that's also words that say, we will not torpedo your career by saying bad shit about you.
Right, right. So I want to just say a few things, like going back to March, like if you I went back and listened to the first review that we did for X-Men 97, and in that review, you know, I'm very much asking for answers. Like, what happened? We want to know what happened. And I think I've been pretty consistent ever since then. Like, I never really wanted to take a side, his versus Disney, because they both, anyone could be in the wrong, especially without any evidence. But, um, but I have to say, even in that first review, we were talking about some of the red flags with Beau DeMayo, because like even prior to the firing, he had been a controversial figure online. He had said a lot of things that have have made certain people very angry with him. Um, and and then you go look at the fact that his co-creatives at the show have not been very vocal in defending him. Um, in fact, like another writer, Charlie Feldman, is completely absent from social media. Like Charlie Feldman had a Twitter before X-Men 97 came out, and they got under fire for like saying a few things that were like anti-racist, like because conservatives were mad at them, like, oh, this writer hates white people, which is like not exactly what it was, but basically, I think anyone who in their right mind who comes to work for Disney should know that the standards they have are high as far as like your behavior,
You should be
and like
quiet,
you
mostly.
should be quiet.
Yeah.
Like
Just
who
keep
learned to
quiet
be
and everything's
quiet?
gonna be fine.
If for no other
Um,
reason that you don't want to be leaking stuff accidentally. But there's also, as far as Bo is concerned, he worked on The Witcher, and I had heard things about like, oh, he had problems people working with him on The Witcher also.
mhm.
So this it's not like I never caped for this guy. I was like, I liked his work, but there have been people that have been caping for him for months now. They're like,
Yeah.
how dare Marvel fire him? Disney, they should hire him back. I won't watch the and I was like, no, I'm not. Hold on a second. I don't know why he was fired, but I have not heard the operative words that tell me that this was just an amicable split that was, they just don't agree. No, everything I understood is that the complete silence, right?
Yeah, and that silence
Was
actually,
was
well, it's
that
sad
was
enough. It
deafening.
was loud.
Yeah.
Because most companies just don't do that. They don't try to cover it up. They don't try to completely ignore it, and they don't like if it's something that is not terrible. They don't. They at least remain like
Yeah.
friendly, and they would invite him, and they would like wouldn't cut him out of the movie about the making of the show.
Right.
Exactly.
That was a huge diss for him not to be included in that at all
Yeah, not even
as the
mentioned.
show
They didn't
creator.
even
And then
mention him. They didn't
mhm.
mention. He wasn't mentioned. Not even just like when
So
you really
that's the
look at it.
thing.
Yeah, when you really
The
look at it.
silence became louder when
Yeah.
he was he had disabled his Twitter, but then he came back and then he was like then he was talking to everybody about everything X-Men related, but he was not addressing the situation.
Right,
And like
exactly.
for him to do that, what it ended up doing was like, he was basically trying to let people know, yeah, I did work on this show. I had a huge presence and involvement in the show. Like I was the showrunner of this show, whether Disney's giving me that credit or not. Like he was trying to like drum up
Also,
support by being a
yeah, that
online
also
active
made a lot of
presence.
people side with him.
Right.
Yes.
Which is unfortunately in fan spaces, we often talk about separating art from the artist, which is hard to do. I get it. But a
I
lot of
mean,
people, if they like what you do, they'll stand you, which is like cool, but with an understanding that it could all go away. Like this person could turn out, they could just do something and it's not cool. And now you have to like sort of recontextualize in your mind what they made as opposed to what they do in real life. And the thing is again, to me it was like, oh, I ain't gonna take this man's side because there's they didn't say anything, like they didn't say, oh, we liked working with him, but it's just it's just no,
Yeah.
they acted like the man didn't exist. And to me,
contrary, by the way, there
Disney
were some
acting like you
reports
don't
that
exist.
there were some
That's a
reports that people didn't like working with him.
yeah. So
So that wasn't good.
now here's the other thing that so now we're seeing what's going on now. He said some stuff about I'm not going to let them besmirch me. He's making it out as like, oh, it's an anti-gay thing, which is weird because right now at Marvel there are quite a few like LGBT, Q, LGBT people who are very prominent creators and are important to the studio. They are keeping them around. So it's not. I'm like, all right, I don't know if I believe that, but
Yeah, like so
still,
can I speak to that for a second? Because like I I've said before, I identify as black and queer. I was born black and I am queer. And like I feel like this mattered a lot to me. This is why I want to figure out if it was a wrongful termination or if it was a rightful termination, because like it could have very easily been either. And like going back to the initial rumors, people were saying it was his OnlyFans was the reason why he got fired. But that was kind of like dismissed early on. But then but for me, my point is that like it sounds like it was a number of things. It sounds like it wasn't just one thing that got him fired. It sounds like it was a list of things. And then also he makes it sound like there was no warning. Like he's talking about June. Sir, you were fired in March. Like, and like, were you not given any warnings before that? Like, did they not give you a chance to like try and like stop doing what you were doing, or did you just not listen? Like,
well, there was
what
word
happened?
They
somewhere.
said egregious. Egregious from in lawyer speak is like, nah, you kept on doing we told you and you kept on doing it.
Yeah,
You didn't listen. So
yeah.
and as far as like the actual allegation, I mean, obviously we don't know any of this stuff, but this is all. See, it could very well be, and I'm not discounting the fact that this could be Disney ops sort of trying to make a case to mess up his to mess up his case against them. I get that.
He
It's
started
entirely
it.
possible. It's entirely
He
possible.
started and he
He
poked the
started it
bear.
this week.
He
Yeah.
poked the bear. Like we've all said, Disney intentionally was quiet and not trying to actively ruin his reputation. Like they were trying to cover it up because it was in everybody's interest to not have a scandal. Because
Yeah,
like
exactly.
we saw how popular X-Men '97 was because people were judging it off the show alone. Like they had Disney is good at two things: hiding scandals and also hiding leaks. Like comparatively, like we see leaks that happens, but like if you look at the amount of leaks we saw for Deadpool Wolverine versus the amount of leaks we saw for Superman, whatever it's called. What's the new one called?
You
Superman
talking about the
Lives.
new?
Yeah,
Are you talking about the new Superman or the
the
Oh,
new one,
The
James
new
Gunn.
Superman.
oh yeah, just Superman.
Okay, well, yeah, that movie, like we've seen so many behind the scenes leaks, whereas I think Disney has learned how to control their leaks and get ahead of the leaks. And then they still have some surprises for people. So it's like um I don't know. I think out of all the mega corporations, like they have a pretty well-oiled machine that they 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 know what they're doing. And so like they were like, let's avoid scandal for as long as we possibly can. Maybe there were some NDAs. We don't know for sure, but like it sounds like there must have been some NDAs keeping people from talking about it. And the more Beau DeMayo talked about things, the more Disney's had to speak up and say, well, if you want to get into it, we can get into
Right.
it because
That's
there's
kind
two
of
sides to the
Contacted his
story.
lawyers or contacted him privately or something because he started it like seemingly out of nowhere. He just started talking and I don't know, like from their point of view, I understand why they did it and whether they were in the right or the wrong. But why would he do that if he knows what he was fired for? That still baffles me. Like,
Well,
you were actually winning here. Because if you did something terribly wrong, they didn't try to ruin your
nobody
career,
knew
which
about
they
it. Yeah.
could. They couldn't do it like that. And he still started it. Like, what are you trying to achieve here?
I don't
I
think
don't
it's
know
that.
if you can win actually a case like that against Disney, and
Right.
I don't know if he was in the right because see, when it's just what Disney said, that's one thing. When it's confirmed by someone and like some gossip and stuff like that, that already creates a narrative that is not positive for him.
Exactly.
I don't know.
I was going to say, I don't think it's out of the blue. I think what precipitated this, or is the removal of his season 2 writing credits, which means something. So he's a member of the WGA, right? Or at least the Writers Guild. Writing credits matters because that's residuals, that's royalties, all that other stuff like that. So the removal of writing credits is probably what precipitated this. But Disney is saying the reason why it got removed, at least the insiders are, is because he kept talking about, he's essentially that he breached their little termination clause, like we'll terminate you. We won't talk about it. You don't talk about it. Cool. But since he has, that was the reason why they removed his writing credits. Writing credits removed. That's an economic incentive to start talking about this, to lawyer up, to get ready for a lawsuit. So
if it's breach
the
of
lawyer
contract,
he has,
then
the lawyer he has apparently has
NDA.
represented many people in kind of wrongful termination things in entertainment.
I think Johnny Depp is one of the people he represented,
Yeah.
Brian Friedman, the lawyer. Well, I do want to mention a few things, a few names. Okay, so bear with me here. So we've got Beau DeMayo, we've got Ed Piskor, we've got Brian Wood, we've got Warren Ellis, we've got Joss Whedon, we've got Michael Fassbender, we've got Brett Ratner, we've got Bryan Singer, we've got John Byrne, and we even have Stan the Man himself, the creator of Stripperella. I think this is at least 10 people who have connections to Marvel and the X-Men who have been accused, 10 men who have been accused of, well, I gotta be 10,
And
X10. Anyway, point is, these
that's
are 10
good.
men who have been accused of sexual harassment, or allegedly or convicted, or all these different things,
Or just terrible behavior on set.
terrible
What's
behavior.
Fassbender? What did Fassbender?
Yeah, what did
Fassbender
he
had
do?
he had a domestic violence suit brought against him from one of his girlfriends during the Me Too era, and it was pretty violent. Like what she describes is like the abuse she suffered. Like it's kind of gone under the radar compared to a lot of other things, like but everyone on that list, if you look up their
Said
their
Stan Lee
history
too.
of harassment, I mean,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
like
something like
yes,
Stan Lee.
generally we remember Stanley fondly, and like we try to remember the good over the bad, but there was some bad. There were some things that he was human too, and you know I think the point I'm trying to make is that there is a pattern of men being sexually abusive in this industry with this property, and it's bigger than this industry and this property. Like it's endemic to our culture apparently. Like this is an issue where men in particular, we have to be talking more about consent, be talking more about being professional, being respectful of people, especially women, and sadly this is an issue that is present in both queer spaces and straight spaces. Like it's like Beau DeMayo cannot hide behind the fact that he's queer, or that he's gay, because um, like a lot of these men that I mentioned are not gay, and they still have the same situation, or like some of them were, like Bryan Singer, and I mean, it's hard to paint everything with a broad brush. I'm not really trying to shame these particular men, nor am I trying to celebrate them. I'm just trying to say this is an ongoing issue, and we gotta talk about these things to try and figure out how to prevent this continuing to be a problem. Because it's just so disappointing. Like for me, as a Black queer man, to see another Black queer man get this opportunity, for me this would be a dream opportunity. And I felt like that Tyra Banks thing. We were all rooting for you, even if I wasn't necessarily championing him, I had my disagreements with things he said, but I was trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was trying to wait for evidence, but to now it's become pretty apparent. It's how much of this could have gone away if he had just stopped what he was doing and apologized.
Right.
When people double down on things, when they are so convinced they're the victim, they're in the right, maybe if you had just apologized to the people you're working with, they might have got over it, and you might have stopped doing what you're doing.
You know that Disney right now, I think that under any other circumstances, they would be celebrating him and they would be pushing him everywhere. They wouldn't be hiding him. And when people say that, well, that's because he's a queer man, a queer person of color, I don't necessarily believe that this is true or this has anything to do with the fact that with what happened, because they would definitely use it as an opportunity to show everyone how woke they are.
Right. And by now we've seen the memes, people have made a lot of jokes pointing out the Key and Peele skit
That
of
was good.
two gay guys where one is, you don't know is gay until the end, but the one who is obviously gay is shoving it in his coworker's face, literally showing him pictures of his nude pictures at work, which is stuff like that, which is not cool. So it's but then he was hide behind the fact, oh, you just don't like it because I'm gay. That's not quite the issue here. I kind of want to mention there was the CW show called Tom Swift that came out that nobody watched and was canceled after one season.
Oh, I
But it was
missed that. Yeah.
but it was about a queer black man, and his one of his it wasn't all about his sexual identity, but one of the plot lines was he felt his father didn't love him because he was gay, but the truth was his father just was mad at him because he wasn't responsible. He wasn't professional. He wasn't ready to run the family business. Like he's like, you can be gay, you just need to show up to work on time. You
Right.
need to like dress appropriately. Like it's like this weird thing where it's like, you know, we have to kind of like figure out as a society, where's the line between, respectability politics and freedom. Like we discuss this with X-Men all the time. Like, you know, we discuss this in black spaces, in minority spaces, like queer spaces. Like even you hear this with people in autistic spaces. They're like, how much do we have to mask to be accepted in society? But like, but part of the social contract is you have to do a certain degree of masking to
Right.
get along with other people. Like, I don't know. What are you guys'
I,
thoughts on
well,
all that?
I mean,
Masking is not the best word here, because I would say that like what you have to do is be decent to other people
Yeah,
and treat them with respect. That's simple for me. Like I
yeah,
think that's like the basic line of decency.
right. I agree.
to me, this whole there's a lot of nuance within this. Um, minorities often have, like, our problem is that we often have to answer for the worst person
Hmm.
that is us, right? So, and for it, it's getting better, but like, so you that list you mentioned, most of them are white straight men.
Yep.
That the you don't have to, when you go to work or the next white straight man you see, if you be like, can you answer for the bad shit that this white straight man did?
Yeah,
They'd
why
be
are you
like,
like
why?
this?
They'd be like, why the fuck are you asking me? Like, he's just a person. Because when you're a white straight dude, there can be 10 times as many horrible white straight guys,
And there
and you
was.
never have to answer for their problems. But we have to answer for the bad things that whatever. So
Not
there's
only do
that.
we have to answer for the bad, like one bad actor amongst us, we also that one bad actor tends to get treated worse than white people who do the
Yeah.
same thing or worse.
Yeah.
Like for in this very case, like Beau DeMayo's reputation and career might be over, but is Michael Fassbender's career over? Arguably, Michael Fassbender did worse. Like he physically like harmed this
Yeah.
woman and broke her skull or something. I don't know the exact details. I don't want to speak wrongly about it, but look it up. And also, um,
But
I'm
Brian
just saying
Singer,
that like
yeah,
he still has a job. He still has
Brian
movies. He still
Brian
has a career.
Singer's Brian Singer kept getting work. That the stuff I've heard, he kept getting work.
Well,
Same thing with
And
but
Joss Whedon got
right now, his career
fired
is,
from
is,
I
is
mean,
everywhere.
not
not
where it used
yeah,
to
but
be.
you see how much it took to get to that point. That
Hmm.
the point I'm trying to get at is, as this sucks on multiple, levels. One of them is that Beau DeMayo shouldn't have to worry about what he's doing reflecting on his community. He shouldn't have to, but he does, and he should know better.
He should know better. The sad
Two,
thing is that he doesn't seem to, because, like, if he did, then he probably wouldn't have done half the things he's doing, because this is making it worse for us as
right.
Black queer people. He's going to be out here. Like people are going to use him as an example of like why Black queer writers aren't needed
Yeah.
in
And
the
those
in
are
the
the
creative
same people
room.
who claim that they only care about the content, because there is no controversy, there is no argument, but the
Right.
content is great. It's amazing. What we got with the first season, and they would admit it, but they
What?
would say that we should care about quality, and then they would bring him up as
What?
an example of like,
Right.
To that point,
We're
though,
already in the midst of a time where, you know the queer community is is definitely under fire and scapegoated for
yes,
fucking everything. And like, people are throwing around buzzwords and shit like that to just be as a dog whistle to sort of call all of their supporters against people. It doesn't help, but he should, it should be that he can be a terrible person, and that doesn't reflect. That's not the world we live in. But also, there's this thing in most spaces, but you're talking about men doing terrible things. This is about power dynamics and what you're allowed to get away with when you are the man in charge. Because he was the man, he's the showrunner, right?
Yeah.
So, what are you allowed to get away with? What do you think is appropriate? And this is not just like in Hollywood. This is going on in the music industry. Drake just got fucking dragged because of very similar I'm the man, I can do whatever I want situation, but it's happening in corporate America. People are just like, and people are like, oh man, all of these people that I think are great because of the work that they do. Now they're being dragged down. Yeah, it's because we're aggrandizing people because of their work. Or Elon Musk is he's a shitty racist piece of crap. But because he's a billionaire, people think his words mean anything. No, he's a fucking idiot that just happens
Hmm.
to be fucking rich. Oh, good for him. Trump is a rich dude who hasn't said anything of value, in my opinion, in ever. Like but he's rich. He's a rich white guy, so we have to pay attention to what he has to say. In Hollywood, there's all sorts of people like you mentioned. Joss Whedon was shitty going back to Buffy.
For
Yeah.
He was
decades.
shitty going
Yeah.
back to Buffy, but because he gets a pass because he's successful in making some stuff, but also he's white. He's a white guy, and
Yeah.
the people making decisions are white guys.
So,
Big surprise. So now, Bo being just a guy that kind of like is taking advantage of his position.
but also let's keep it in fact the writer who the showrunner who's brought in to replace him is also a white guy. And so is the new writer for the X-Men upcoming live action movie. And that's could
Not
be
right.
fine, like nothing against them, like unless something comes out against them, like we don't have a problem with that per se, but it's just a long history of white men writing the X-Men, and other people not getting a chance.
Right.
It shouldn't
Like
be just one person, I think, even. Like, should be at
I mean,
least a team
I want to
and
see the
a
white.
diverse team.
I want to see the writers' room. That to me, that's. I mean, you can have a showrunner who isn't, just a white guy, but if that writers' room is more diverse, we're in better shape. It is. I mean, for better or for worse, we're out not outsiders, but we're very much people like us are very much you know, kind of asking for a seat at the table, and we're getting up here and there, and it's getting better. But the people writing checks don't look like us. The people making decisions about what gets made don't look like us, and we have to hope. And in Hollywood, thankfully, it's mostly true that they're liberal enough that there are going to be some seats at the table. And
But this year in
I'm
particular, we've seen a lot of seats being taken away because we were getting seats in the wake of the George Floyd protests of 2020. And we were getting, there were lots of Black Lives Matter, initiatives to bring in Black people, creatives specifically. Jobs, were abundant for like a year or two. And then now they're getting fired again. They're getting nixed. Like
Mhm.
recently, Disney reported letting go a lot of executives who were part of that diversity initiative. People like conservatives complain about DEI, but like is it really helping us? Is it really hurting them? Because like it doesn't seem to be making a material difference to me.
Right.
Um,
Yeah, we're the first. We're last hired, first fired. That's
mhm. And it's been
look.
that
That's
way since affirmative action or even before that. Like,
yeah. It's it is unfortunately uh the truth about America, and like it's the truth that, like I said, last hired, first fired. we're the scapegoats for whatever. Whenever Disney can't make their quarterly earnings, we're the reason why. We're it's always and that's unfortunately the truth that we
Like
as minorities have learned that we are going to be blamed, even though I mean it's not we're not really doing these things.
It's
like
usually someone at the top.
like
It's
on a
well, I
on
mean
a
they're not
micro
the people.
scale,
Yeah, people up there are not. They're not going to take blame for anything. It's going to
like
be
Mm.
always, oh man, we black movies don't sell, or there's too many gays, or there's we can't
like
use pronouns. It's
can
a
I
bunch of
ask you
bullshit.
guys, like last year we got Wish and we got the Marvels, and both of those movies came right, at the end of the strikes, and they both underperformed. But to me, I saw them both. I think they were both pretty decent. But something like Inside Out 2 is going to break the box office record. Something like Deadpool Wolverine 2 is going to break the box office records. Whereas those other movies, they're more diverse in terms of the
Mhm.
casting of the leads and the directors and all that stuff. But they're doing terrible. Like is that just one of many examples, or is that just like, or is it actually, or am I just wrong? Were they just bad movies? Like
Well,
I
I
thought they
mean,
were.
I thought Wish was whatever. So like to me, it's that we have to like diversity for diversity's sake. I'm fine with that because we've had non-diversity for the sake of not of maintaining. But actually, you know what? Let me stop dancing around my words. I don't feel like doing that. We've had
Speak freely.
we've had white people just there to just maintain the normalcy though of white supremacy and all that has shaped entertainment for a damn long time. So miss me on all this, you know, diversity hires, quotas, but
Like
whatever. There the quotas
Ariana
were.
DeBose is fucking talented. Like you
Yeah.
can say that you
Yeah,
don't
she is.
that she's you can't call her DEI hire because she's fucking talented. That's
No,
all I'm
it's and
Yeah,
saying.
I
but
agree.
also it's the sound mixing in the movie that is not great. The songs not top level. So,
Yeah,
but then
Wish wasn't that good. To me, it
how
was fine.
many completely white movies tanked? How
But
many of them were terrible? And
but
no one is saying it's because like everyone is white.
yeah, there's plenty of, you know, mostly white cast movies and TV shows that are just like,
Terrible.
whatever or garbage. And it is in no way will it affect what the executives think about movies led by white people. And that's built in. That's the white supremacy built into the whole system. Like we were just talking about. So, but I mean, Wish was just whatever. It wasn't a terrible movie. It wasn't that good. And so every movie, every
But also, I want to ask the
movie.
question though, because I don't have kids, but we're all adults here talking about this movie. It's a kids movie. Is it going to be popular with kids? Like I think maybe
I
kids
would have
might
loved it
like
as a
it if
kid.
they watch it,
I mean,
right?
Because
man,
like
but
you didn't as a kid, like I personally didn't have the choice of black characters to like look
Like
at black cartoon characters, so that would have been like that and Tiana. Those
right,
would be
like
my favorite cartoons.
I
right,
mean,
like I grew up in the Disney Renaissance, and we got Pocahontas, we got Mulan, and but black people weren't allowed to be in these movies. Black people were animals in Lion King. There were no black people in Tarzan, even though it was set
One
in
of the
Africa.
best cartoons, though.
Like, why didn't Tarzan have a single African in Africa?
yeah. Well, I think so. Like as far as I mean, sure, for kids, probably Wish is cool stuff. Good for them. Kids aren't terribly discerning when it comes to these sorts of. They haven't seen a ton of things, so they aren't as jaded or whatever you want to call it. It didn't do well. It probably did a fine on streaming or whatever. The Marvels didn't do well for various good reasons that aren't just the the content of the movie. It's doing well enough on streaming, but these are all things that are going to necessarily, change the way. Now that basically they took a gamble on diversity If they don't do Black Panther numbers, they're failures. Therefore, let's circle back around to the
Yeah.
safe
Yeah.
stuff that we've done before. And look, this happens all the time in Hollywood. They try something, there's an explosion of like black movies in the 90s. A few of them don't do well. All right, let's go back to making white people romantic comedies. It's a thing. And as minorities, we have to accept that we're going to take two steps forward, take a step back,
Yeah, it is the
especially in this
nature of
political
commercial
climate.
entertainment. Yeah.
This political climate, as I like to say, every 4 years, we're asking the average white person in America, how you feel about white supremacy? You feel you want more of it or less of it?
Are you over it yet?
Yeah, it's like I'm just like we're taking your temperature here. Let's stick this little thermometer up your butt and find out how you feeling about white supremacy. You feeling good about it right now? You feel you
but
bearish or
I,
bullish?
I
And when we're in
literally
a
kind of
bearish,
hate. I kind of hate that we're so nice about that because, like, how can America have, an entire revolution over tea and taxes, but we can't have a revolution over, racial equality? Like, just unfortunately, at the end of the day, representation does not equal revolution. That's something
no.
that I don't think we're really talking about enough in this day and age. But we'll take the representation if we can get it, and then hopefully that might lead to some
I mean that
revolution down the line. I don't know.
the amount of just like existential dread that seeing a few black and queer faces on a fucking movie causes in half of the population of this country is I want to I want to say it's alarming, but it's not. I'm a black American. I'm in my mid 40s. I know the way this game is played. I know exactly what's going on. So it's not I'm not surprised that there's all these, this knee jerk reaction. I'm not surprised that the fandom menace exists. I'm not surprised that they, bitch about anything because nobody complains more about representation than white men. White straight men, nobody complains more about it. Not because they complain more about not seeing themselves than anybody in the world. We
Right,
we spend our lives having to watch movies where somebody doesn't look like us, and we've got to be able to
right.
connect with
And
them.
we love those movies. How many movies have we celebrated a white man named Chris being the star? Like a
Yeah,
lot of
but
them.
these motherfuckers, they can watch Black Panther and be like, I couldn't connect. That's
There's
because there's
only
something
one
wrong.
white man.
Yeah, you need it's and that, but that's the truth. Well, you are Richie Rich. You are the favorite child, and you're a Dudley Dursley essentially. You spent your life like that. You don't get 30. You got 34 presents last year. This year you're getting 33. You're bitching and moaning, and you're acting like the world is ending, and that is what's happening. You've
Like,
had 30, yeah, you're Dudley Dursley. You've had your 34 presents. Oh, suddenly Harry gets to come and why am I talking about Harry Potter? Sorry. But it's a
but
good analogy. Like she,
and speaking of Harry Potter, I did kind of want to draw that allusion just because, like, to be honest, growing up, I was a Harry Potter fan, and it has been um, frustrating to say the least to see J.K. Rowling fall from grace to be like she had a whole rags to riches storyline, and then now it's like she's
She had the rights to
gone off the
trash.
deep end, and like now I don't even claim her. I don't even talk about Harry Potter anymore as much as I can avoid it because like I don't want her to reap the rewards of like you know that success while she's being so bigoted. Like she's currently under fire for like coming like talking bad against an Olympian, Emaine. You guys, what's her name? Khalif.
Yeah,
She brought a lawsuit against her, and Elon Musk, and deservedly so because like it's out of control. And
couldn't have happened to two more deserving people.
right. So I guess my point is just like we're in this constant news cycle of seeing people fall from grace, whether it's a man, a woman, of any race or gender. But it's all because people are choosing these hills to die on. and they're not taking accountability. They're not being respectful of other people's differences. They're not being, considerate, or at the very least, or as you said, Polly, they're not being decent. Like there's no common decency, and so it's like, I guess my question is, people talk about cancel culture, people talk about accountability culture, but I guess my question is, do you think we can have more of a redemption culture? Like, is there any redemption for Beau DeMayo? Is there any redemption for J.K. Rowling or any of these people? Like, yes, they have to put in
I
the
mean,
work,
okay,
and they
well,
have to
Joss Whedon is
admit
a
they were
great
wrong.
example. He actually had a chance to apologize, and he didn't use it. He just doubled down. He said, like, well, yeah, I did what I did, but like, it's their fault. I don't
And
know.
Trump is another perfect example. Trump has doubled down at every step of the way.
Well,
He's had plenty of opportunities to, like,
it's
you know,
because
How is
do the
he
right
when
still?
thing.
when you're rewarded for bad behavior, you're going to keep doing it because
Exactly.
because you're essentially hoping terrible people want to be good, but they already think they're being good. They're successfully being terrible, and they have no, like, you. I guess internally
But
they
I
have
don't
to
just
feel
hope
like,
that they be good. The culture's thought around it seems to be, if we punish them for being bad, maybe they will start to change their ways, and that doesn't seem to be working. Like, what incentive do they
They
have to
still
change their
don't think they
ways?
bad. They think you're bad for punishing them for doing something right.
Right.
yeah,
So it's
or
like,
at least for not.
They're all
Well, this
backwards.
okay. So here's the way I look at it, and I enjoy all of this, the way this is playing out, because I am personally against the aggrandizement of anyone for their works or whatever. Like, and by that I mean, sure, you can like the Harry Potter books, but that doesn't mean you need to put J.K. Rowling on a pedestal. She's a person. You can like a movie that someone makes. You can like their music. You can like the fact that they, invested in and made an electric vehicle company. You can, all that good. Tesla doesn't make Elon Musk smart or even an expert or even have any useful or helpful opinions about anything, right? J.K. Rowling writing books doesn't mean her thoughts on trans issues are authoritative or useful or not shit. So we keep aggrandizing these people because of their works, as if
In
making a
other
billion
fields.
dollar, yeah, as if making $1 billion makes you a good person. Money doesn't equal quality. Money doesn't equal character. Money doesn't equal intelligence. It just
Actually,
means you're
money
rich.
doesn't even prove that your work was good.
Yeah.
well,
I mean,
that's the point. The
because how
point.
you get your money matters too. So I'm for this. Let's tear all these people down off of their pedestals. They are regular people just like you and me. They and should be allowed to be flawed and fucked up and try to, and be held accountable for it. But we keep making it out like, and I think that the elites of the world have been intentionally, for generations, probably since the begin, since there were elites, trying to make it out like we are nobility, therefore we're above your criticism and scrutiny and everything like that. And I say, fuck that. I'm anti monarchist. I'm anti oligarchy. I'm anti elitism. If you are a person, you are, you can be scrutinized, you can be criticized, and you can be called to the carpet. And I don't give
So
a
this
fuck
is the
about how much
thing.
money you got.
This is the thing. So we're living in a social media world where the average person's voices are more amplified, and like we can, like, be more critical, more vocal about any of these people in power, and they're more likely to hear it than they were in the past. Like, I think that, you know I think that's kind of the point of cancel culture, to like say, yeah, like, these people are not perfect people. They're, in fact, they're harmful people, and that they shouldn't be rewarded for their actions. Like, if we just go on eating up the media that they create because we like it, we're basically giving them, carte blanche to continue doing what they were doing. And I just I don't know. I definitely. I'm not saying we need to like conflate an artist and their art entirely because like especially in the case of X-Men 97, a lot of people worked on it. Like he might have been the showrunner, but he would collaborate with Harry Potter. J.K. Rowling wrote all 7 books, and that's why she's so tied directly to the media. I mean, even if the movies had lots of other actors and crew and everybody, the point is like she's being enriched on a daily basis. Her net worth is probably still going up, but I just think it does come down to an issue of wealth and power because as long as the wealthy and the powerful get to continue to hold that wealth and power, they kind of set the terms of like what's acceptable unless we fight back and say no, this is not acceptable.
Or at the very least, see, because again, they're people just like you and me. They no matter what they say about, oh, I'm in a castle and I'm rich and whatever. I don't care what you say. They do care. They care about. See that if you look at Homelander, we were talking about this before. Homelander has no reason to give a fuck about anybody's thoughts about him. Zero reason, and yet he cares a lot. And that's true about because he's a person. Everyone cares a lot about what other people think about them. And so that's why
And
that's why you get all these people, that's why Beau is out there trying to defend himself. That's why J.K. Rowling is responding to random ass people calling her a turf. That's why Elon gets up, his knickers in a twist on X, and he's making all of these rules so that he can do whatever he wants, and people that like him can say whatever they want, but everyone who's against him doesn't. They want That's why the word weird matters to conservatives, because ultimately they want to be seen as, oh, I'm a good person and everyone likes me and I'm successful, and if anyone says otherwise, you're threatening their worldview. And
like
so, yeah,
it's human nature for people to want what they don't have. And when these wealthy, powerful people, that's the love of the masses is the one thing that they don't have. So that's
yeah,
why they want it so badly because
but not bad enough to actually do shit to earn
right,
it. Like,
exactly.
oh, give up. I'm a billionaire. If I gave up, 3/4 of my wealth and still be wealthy, I gave up 3/4 of it and like did some shit to help people. That's why in America we have Polly. I don't know if you ever heard of Andrew Carnegie.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, that's fine. He was a Gilded Age robber
Oh
baron.
yeah.
He's a Gilded Age robber baron. Let's call, there was a
Yeah,
bunch
no,
of
that
them.
I
But so Andrew Carnegie, but you know what? Go around the United States, there are Carnegie libraries everywhere because he took some of that money and was like, all right, here's money, community, spread it out, build a library. So there's libraries everywhere called Carnegie libraries.
I was talking about
These
someone
motherfuckers
from
could do
like
that.
these days
What's his
that you
name?
echoed of that one.
Elon Musk is so fucking rich. Jeff Bezos, they're so rich. They could literally give away half of their billions, still be multi-billionaires, do shit for the world, and then their names they'd have statues and buildings named after them, all this other stuff, make the world a better place. But they're not going to do that. They want to be Lex Luthor instead of Andrew Carnegie. And so, but they also want you to think that they're the best person on the world and they so deserve it. No, actions, motherfucker. That's what I want to see. And your actions are, I'm Lex Luthor, except I'm not very smart.
Like some people have said, all these billionaires, not one of them decided to be Batman yet.
I would, I don't even need Batman. Again, you're worth $50 billion. Give away 49 of it. You're still a billionaire.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I contend there ain't no such thing as a good billionaire.
Yeah,
Name any billionaire that they're not good.
like
Jay Z and
greed is a
Beyonce, I love
vice.
them. Jay
Yeah,
Z and
like
Beyonce collectively are billionaires. I love their music and everything. Not good because you can't. How you got $1 billion and there are people dying of hunger and thirst and
Even
disease
if you
and
got it, like, what do you need it for?
yeah. Tell me, no, name a billionaire that if they still got $1 billion, what are you
well,
using that
I
money for?
would say in the case of Jay-Z and Beyonce and any single black billionaire, because there aren't very many of them, that they probably need it for leverage in the sense like if there is this racial dynamic to wealth and power, then then maybe we do need you know more black people. I mean, I don't think black capitalism is going to save us. I'm with you. I'm not saying that I think billionaires should be abolished. Like we need to have more wealth equality in the world, but um as far as getting there, I think we need to hold the people on top accountable first. Like I think that's the whole issue. Like no one's being held accountable, and even when we try to be held accountable, we're being treated as scolds or like as like joy joy killers or whatever. You're like, like what can you do?
Yeah, depending on what it is you're holding accountable. This our current climate is that, and that let's be honest, there is a kind of a prurient. I hate saying that word because it's hard to say, but there is a very much a drama thing related to, like, whatever he's accused of, it was scandalous, or it's, everyone wants the scandal, they want the tea, they want all. So that's part of it, what's going on, and so people are more likely to be mad about Me Too related things, which I mean, cool. I'm not opposed to that. I'm like, let's be mad about other things that are just as bad,
Yeah,
there are other things that affect people's lives. Beau DeMayo being a shitty coworker and possibly, abusing his position to kind of like, have sexual misconduct. Yeah, that sucks. It affected what, a dozen people, right? And maybe it set a precedent, but they're dealing with it. Disney's taking it seriously. They've got rid of him. Done. Like that, the system worked. But there are other people who are doing worse things that affect thousands or hundreds of thousands of people, and no one's
yeah.
calling them to the mat. They're getting rewarded for it. That's my problem. And that, like, this, cool, this all, Beau DeMayo's biggest problem is he's probably going to fuck up the bag for other gay and, people of color in Hollywood. He's going to mess the bag up for them. But ultimately, that's hundreds of people maybe that are bothered by this. I need us to care about the shit that's going to affect thousands or hundreds of thousands or millions of people. That's what I would
No, I
prefer
agree.
that.
I mean, to it, like, I say this off podcast all the time, just that like America and the world at large, we don't really seem to have our priorities in the right place. I think it's very easy for entertainment to distract us. And I say this as an entertainment podcast, but like, this is kind of my escape from, the burdens of the world. Whereas at the same time, it's still interrelated and we still got to talk about these things. But I think that, um, with Beau DeMayo specifically, or just any of these scandals, I think when we were talking about accountability, it's like, what I just wish, like, it's easy to have, like, everyone's drawn to scandal, but it seems like nobody is drawn to conflict resolution. Like, once people are actually in the nitty gritty of resolving conflict, the news is not interested. People are not interested. Like how do we make conflict resolution, sexy and fun and like something that people, are able to absorb and do before things get out of control and become a scandal in the first place.
Collective therapy.
Yeah, everyone, the breaking your arm is dramatic, and getting the cast on is interesting, but actually the actual healing process, no one wants to stick around and see that. That's, I mean, I get it. Like, there's nothing fun and interesting about negotiations and people sitting around and coming to a meeting of the minds or whatever, even though that's where the actual work is happening. Nobody wants to watch C-SPAN when people do, talk about bills, but they get
Maybe
mad
we
when the
should
bills
though.
mess their lives up. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I get it. It's nothing. No, there ain't no movie that sits and talks about like that stuff. It's just not interesting. It's not dramatic, and all of us live, you know, fairly run of the mill lives where all of these little the bits of our lives that no one wants to dramatize are happening. That's the majority of our lives. And we want to get fast forward to the interesting parts. And we're at the interesting part for Beau DeMayo right now. But when this all shakes out, it's going to be, it could be a year or two from now. And it's not going to be interesting enough for us to, we're not going to be talking about this until they come out with whatever the
There has
lawsuit
to be
ends.
a resolution for us to
Yeah.
talk about it.
Yeah.
But like it's happened, and at least we got some kind of update on the situation, because it seemed to still bother people, and a lot of people still came to like Disney accounts whenever they were promoting X-Men 97. They were talking about it. They were asking what happened. So
I
guess
cannot wait. I cannot wait to see all of the googly-eyed thumbnails on. Actually, I don't see those because I curate my YouTube very well to keep that crap away from me. But I just know I'm probably gonna do a video about it. Just to be perfectly honest, just because
for all that, like the speech before that.
I mean,
now you're
engagement
like,
is
yeah.
engagement. I mean, this is gonna be a
Nah,
thing.
I'm not judging. I understand.
I'm probably gonna do one, but it's thoughtful talk about it is probably not going to rule the day. There's already people, like I said, there are people that have been caping for him, people that are dogpiling right now too. And I'm just like, I think I'm just going to hang out until I hear real information that isn't just rumors or until I get some real information. I'm just going to hang out. I'm not, that's not my cousin. That ain't my brother. He's not my friend. I don't know him in real life. He made something I like. So I'm not going to sit there and.
But he didn't make it himself. And also,
Yeah.
like, I think, at the end of the day, we just have to recognize it was a collaborative effort. He did contribute to it. Love him or hate him, he's not involved going forward. They might keep some of his ideas and get rid of his credit. I don't know, but I don't know. I just think, it sucks that when I go over that list of names I mentioned before, hardly any of them really got, really kind of like redeem themselves. Like, are there any stories of people who redeem themselves, who take the accountability and the responsibility? Like, I mean, some would argue maybe Warren Ellis or even Jonathan Majors, who I didn't list, but he's on the list because we all know about his scandal. But the point is, like, if someone gets convicted, serves their time, at what point can we forgive them? Or is it even our place to forgive them? Or who is in the position to forgive someone for harassment?
I mean, I think it's. Oh, sorry,
they
go
are
ahead,
managers. I mean, with a good like, if you get hired and if you have a good PR team, then yeah, sure, you can get back.
Anybody can come back. The question is, will anyone think it's worthwhile? See, Hollywood is not the real world in the sense that there's much more tied up into the stars. Like, he's a writer, so he can come back. But stars of things, like, they have a problem. There's a much higher hill to climb. So, but you're asking, like, is there forgiveness? Is there, if someone's done all the work? It depends on who they are and how important they are. But, like, generally speaking, people aren't interested in that. Like, I mean, they're not, and it depends on what you did too. Like, I mean, if he had killed
and whether
somebody,
or not you keep doing it, because like, look at Chris Brown, he served his time, but then he keeps getting further reports of misconduct. So it's like up and down, up and down, up and down. Like, and that's life. Like, that's real. Like, people are not perfect. So my question is, like, how much are we going to bear with people's imperfections, but also not tolerate, overstepping
there is like
egregious
imperfection.
behavior.
There is imperfection when you like, I don't know, even mistreating someone in the writer's room, or like saying the wrong thing and stuff like that, seeming more abusive than you are. But there are these things, and then there is beating somebody senseless, and like, if that repeats, I'm gonna forgive that. I wouldn't forgive that after the first incident, because that's like stepping over the line and like keeping going. So there are different things, but like, some things you can forgive, some things you can't
It's
and you shouldn't.
it's just it's case by case. So I think mainly, uh, I think the idea here is that everyone, like, because it's a bunch of different people making these things. It's everyone's gonna look at it differently. So not everyone's gonna be bothered as it by other things. So ultimately, it's kind of up to the studios about how much of a risk they're willing to put onto this. And I think he's gonna work again, and he's gonna get more because he's a writer. So as long as he sort of like does all of the right things outside of this and then continues to work on his craft and continues to make things that
Probably
are compelling,
apologizes.
sort of, he may have to slum it a little bit here and there, but like just continue to work. He's a background worker. So essentially, as long as he's not high profile, he can have, and there are going to be people that are just like, I don't care what he does. I'm never, okay, fine. But he can come back from this. This isn't a situation that's unrepairable.
I think it remains to be seen because, like, I think the more he's put himself in the public spotlight, the more enemies he's creating. Like yeah, he could come back from this, but right now it seems to be at the worst it's been because he keeps making it about him and his
Right.
struggle here being ousted and blackballed. So it's like, but like there are reasons why it seems that he was treated the way he was treated. So it's like, um, all I'm saying is, if there are any success stories, let's try to find them and amplify them because you know I want to believe that you know people who have done wrong can be can make up for what they've done wrong and be welcomed back into society. Like I believe in rehabilitation. I believe that we shouldn't have the system of mass incarceration and like vindictiveness towards criminals, some of whom have not even committed that serious of a crime. Like there's no kind of reasonable scale as far as like like basically poor people are criminals and rich people get away with everything. So it's really not, there's no true justice in our current system, it doesn't seem like. But I want to get off the soapbox. um you guys have any final thoughts about this before we move on?
No, just which let's
We
just keep
strayed
an eye.
so far from the comics.
Yeah, I just say
And yet not that far, because
let's
like
just
the
keep an eye on it. But I mean, I said it already, but I just want to reiterate, like, let's just stop aggrandizing people because we like their output. Like we really have to remember they are regular people. And if what they did bothered you enough, just don't move on. There's a ton of other things to watch or whatever. But like this, like as you said, let's not make this a hill to die on. And and remember that this is just entertainment. It's not your life. It's not your personality. None of that stuff like that. It's not that important. So we don't have to put these people on pedestals and and then suffer the ill feeling of having to kick them off of them. So anyway,
Well, uh okay, I just wanted to add on to that just because you know like there's putting them on the pedestal, and then there's being upset when they fall off, but then there's also like kicking people when they're down, and I've seen a lot of that. And there's also just general unforgiveness. Like
mm,
I feel like there's no common there's no common ethic in the world these days because people don't have the same religion, they don't have the same morals and ethics. So it's like, um I don't know. We read a lot of comic books and watch a lot of superhero stuff where we talk about morals and ethics, but still, like, there's a wide range of thoughts on, like, what do we do with villains and bad people? Like, is there any redemption? Um, I identify as Christian. That's another thing. It's like where redemption is the huge part of it. So it's like, I know, but that not everybody believes that. So it's like, I just wonder, you know, are we living in unforgiving times? Or is the forgiveness necessary? Does it have to, like, it needs to be tied to accountability? That's the big thing. Like, you can't just forgive people who are going to keep doing the same thing over and over. So it's just a whole long, complicated conversation. I think we're not going to solve world peace today, but at least we had some good discussion.
At least
So
we
Right.
thank you
tried.
guys. We tried. Maybe next week.
On,
Yeah.
on that note, I am gonna hop up. Y'all talking about comics. It's not just that I do have to be at work at 3
Yeah,
and I want to like get myself mentally ready for that because the last two
It's
days have sucked.
Saturday. Oh,
Yeah, it's
you
I
got to
work
work on
weekends.
Saturday. Oh
Yeah,
man.
unfortunately, I do have to work on the weekends. So
Well, thanks for
anyway,
joining us, Mo.
yeah, thanks
It's
for
been a
having
pleasure having
this.
you.
Polly, nice meeting you.
was very nice
Yeah,
to.
I'll see you guys on Threads though.
All right,
Yeah.
everyone, check out Mo on Threads and check out his YouTube channel as well, Blurred Force One. You can find us. We're all in the loop. So go support his podcast, and we'll see you soon.
Oh, I guess should I plug myself?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yes, so the YouTube is Blurred Force One. I do a podcast called The Supercast with my friend Lottie. And it's if you want to hit me up on social media, super not funny show at gmail.com. It's blurred underscore force one on Instagram and threads, super underscore not underscore funny show on TikTok. Uh, Hit me up on threads. That's really my place. So anyway, good talking to you guys. I'll see you guys later.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks. Bye. All right. So, Polly.
You're smoking because I've been dying to smoke. I don't know if it's okay for the
You're
video
good.
though. Yeah, okay, go.
You're good. How much time do you have, honestly? Like,
Like all day.
okay,
Yeah.
I got some time. If you got time, I got time.
I
Let's
mean,
talk.
I think that the first part of the conversation really should be cut into a separate video.
It might be, yeah. Like that was a long one. But I think there was some good discussion there. So let's shift direction a little bit.
To the comics.
Yeah, who's ready to talk about comic books? All right, so let's quickly just talk about what came out this week. Um, let's see here. I think I have a image of all the books
Ooh,
that came out this week.
that is a lot of books.
Yeah, this isn't even all of them, but this is a most of them. So, what have you been reading that's new this week?
Mostly Marvel stuff, the Ultimates. I read the X-Men
Mm-hmm.
and the other one, the X Factor. I also
Yeah,
like before we get into this week, I also missed the last week. So I wanted to talk a little about the Uncanny X-Men #1 because that was amazing, and that's by far
sure.
my absolute favorite new issue of the X-Men.
All right.
It
So,
was
yeah, you can go ahead and give us your first thoughts
yeah,
about
that
that.
was amazing. The think it was like probably the best way to introduce the character, to reintroduce the character. It didn't spend too much on rehashing what happened before, but again, it did give you a great introduction to the story and to what you're going to be getting with this book. It's overall amazing, great art, great story, great everything, even like quotable stuff. It's
So, out
perfect.
of all the Fall of the from the Ashes books, is it your favorite so far, or what do
Yeah,
you think?
this definitely is.
Interesting. It's not my favorite so far, but it was good. I mean, my initial gut instinct is to say that NYX is my favorite so far, just because it's got a younger, fresher cast. It's a little more diverse. Like um, I feel like we need new stuff, but at the same time, there's still room for the old stuff as well. I mean, it's beloved for a reason. These characters we love them for a reason. So, um,
Yeah, it's a
you know,
reasonably new lineup because I mean the characters are not new, but Rogue being in charge of an X-Men team, and that is a very interesting idea.
but she's been in
I don't.
charge before, not of this specific team, but like she's definitely been a leader before during the Mike Carey run specifically. But I'm just saying that this is
Yeah,
very
it's the
much
new approach and her dynamic with Gambit. First and
mhm.
foremost, because like they've been struggling with writing Gambit, and Gambit and Rogue is interesting in my opinion, because a lot of
No,
people
yeah.
love to just look at the domestic stuff, and I'm not a big fan of that. I prefer when they're more dramatic, and Gambit has been like in the background for the most part, not the most interesting maybe character. Mm,
Arguably,
and
both
now,
Rogue and Gambit have not had a lot to do during the Krakoan era. Like they
yeah,
were
yeah,
like like she was on the X-Men team, but she didn't really do a lot.
yeah, they were just like there.
And Gambit was on like Excalibur, and so was she for a bit. But like they kind of got written out
Again,
of that, and he died, and he came back. So it was like, you know,
yeah.
but um, but this is
So
a
I'm
very
looking
'90s
forward to
team
reading more
though.
about them. Yeah.
Like almost the
And I
same
think,
characters from X-Men '97 minus Cyclops and
again, yeah,
Jean
I think it's inspired
Storm.
by that. Storm's not on that team.
Yeah, minus Storm as
Yeah.
well.
Storm is on the Avengers, and we don't know a lot about that yet. She has a
Yeah, did
solo
you?
run coming out, and in the Avengers, she just like basically showed up to contemplate either joining them or not joining them. So.
Yeah, did you have some thoughts about that one as well? That just came out
Mm,
last week also.
yeah, it was okay. It was okay. I expected like more maybe, but I
Well, I
did go through all the previous issues just to know what's going on, and it was pretty fun, but it wasn't a wow fun.
did you get to read Blood Hunt yet?
No, I've read some issues from the
Yeah.
Blood Hand, yeah,
I
because
feel
they were
like this
there.
yeah, like for me, I felt like this issue worked more as a wrap up to Blood Hunt,
Yeah.
but I'm interested to see what Storm ends up doing on the team. Like hopefully she's not just there for like window dressing or like cameo points
I'm
like
afraid that that's what's gonna happen because, like, I think I mentioned that X-Men Avengers don't necessarily have the best history of hiring mutants and they or having mutants represented in their team. That's usually something that just done for the optics and they don't necessarily like get involved in mutant stuff. And there is a conversation about it that Storm has with Captain America. That
well, I think that the Avengers would have a better reputation if Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were more
remain
like,
mutants.
yeah, if they were considered mutants, like if they weren't retconned every 10 years, like
They're
um,
probably going to be retconned into mutants back at some point.
yeah, I think that's what everybody prefers, but it's just
Yeah,
like it's frustrating for them to not be mutants. Like they're not mutants right now, right?
yeah. And again, Wanda's whole arc in the House of M. When she's a mutant, it's one thing. When she's not a mutant, it's kind of hard to like her after that.
Yeah, it's worse.
Yeah, you don't just like do that.
hmm All right. Well, let's get into this week's books. Which one do you want to start with?
Oh, let's start with the Ultimates, I guess.
All right, Ultimates 3. Ultimates 3 by Denise Camp and Juan Frigeri and Federico Blee. Um, what are your initial thoughts?
I didn't quite enjoy it. I mean, it was fun and it was interesting. It just um a little bit confusing because at this point I'm not sure I understand what they're trying to do, but there was obviously a great arc with the island, uh, which was like depressing.
Yeah. So that's interesting you say that because it was confusing that you're not sure what they're trying to do. Because like for me, I felt a little bit more clarity as far as the direction of this book. Um, uh, I mean, I kind of liked it
Maybe
in
I
the sense,
expected a different direction. Maybe
hmm
that's the point, you know.
maybe like
But the whole story was like very depressing.
it was very depressing. Like they're basically okay. So spoilers. Um, we meet the ultimate version of She-Hulk, and in this version, it's not Jennifer Walters. We have um I can't remember her name, but she's from um like a Polynesian island, so it looks like, and this island was basically destroyed by um gamma bomb testing that created the Hulk, and now everyone on the island is mutated. They call it Monster Island. So they're kind of doing the ultimate version of
Mm.
Monster Island here. It's
And they're
very
monitoring
depressing.
it
Yeah,
without, of course, trying to help, because it sounds like something that some countries would do.
yeah, like so. Yeah, this is definitely very much, referencing real life history. Like the way the nuclear bomb tests on the Marshall Islands after World War II. Um, so I think Denise Camp is very interested in like contextualizing this book in real world history, even if it's like fuzzing the details a little bit, making it more fictionalized. But you know, I'll just say I liked being introduced to She-Hulk as a character, as a tragic but heroic character who who is not only physically strong, but like you know, if this character continues to have a presence on the team, they're gonna apparently have a big role because Bruce Banner is the villain in this case, and I think up until now, Ultimates has kind of been had a lot of white savior tropes because like the whole team has been white.
Yeah.
Last issue they saved America Chavez, but she didn't have like anything to do really. She was like the
They
damsel in
saved
distress.
her.
Mm-hmm. So this She-Hulk, she don't need saving. She just needs y'all to like not be uh terrible
There.
and get off her island unless you're actually going to do something to help. So um Iron Lad did commit to helping her, and he even took off his mask and the toxic radiation.
Which
So
is
I think
probably not the best idea, but okay.
probably not, but it was a gesture of like I'm with
Suicide.
you guys.
That's
So
yeah.
he's
And
got a
like
lot of
the
tech. He'll be all right.
probably, yeah, probably he has like some anti-radiation stuff like they did in Battlestar Galactica, something.
Hmm.
But like the most depressing part for me was seeing all these other people on that
Yeah,
island, because that like, and the description of being poisoned by radiation, which they
yeah.
mm, yeah.
I think they literally call them abominations, like which is a nod to the villain Hulk villain abomination. But like
Mm.
in this in this context, it's very depressing to see. Like some people have said I didn't see Oppenheimer. Maybe you can tell me because you saw Oppenheimer, but they said
Yeah.
that this story did more to show the consequences of nuclear bomb radiation than the whole Oppenheimer movie did. Is that true?
Uh, I'd say so, yeah, but probably because Oppenheimer, like I found it to be very boring and very long,
Mhm.
and that's just me. I mean, I know that a lot of people love this movie, but I'd say that like it reminded me of Chernobyl mostly because of a graphic depiction of the
Yeah,
radiation poisoning,
yeah.
and probably Hiroshima too and Nagasaki.
Uh-huh.
In some way, because that like kind of echoes mm, the same
Yeah.
thing because it's
Yeah, all of those things I think most directly it is like referencing the nuclear testing on the Marshall Islands. But
probably,
but
yeah.
all of those bombs, like anytime a nuclear bomb has gone off in history, it is like it's devastating, and like people need to be aware of that power, and we need to
Sadly,
be
they probably
aware.
won't, but yeah, we keep talking about it, and now is probably a very good time to remind everyone what the results
Yeah,
can be.
and like how we need to like have checks on the people in power who have the ability to let these
Oh yeah.
nukes go off. Because in this comic book, the heroes are considered terrorists, and they are, not welcome in any country because the Maker has basically taken over the world, and he's got his little cronies in place. Bruce Banner being one of them. So I definitely think this is leading up to something. I'm just not quite sure what.
Yeah, that is quite confusing in that sense, but I'm definitely interested to find out what's going to happen next and how is it going to unravel. It's just, well, we'll see, I guess. We'll see.
So
I probably would be nice at this point to have a little more of a connection between all the Ultimate titles because I still don't quite understand how are they gonna all come together if they are.
yeah, it does seem a little directionless, like at least for me, like compared to the older Ultimate Universe. Like I felt like, you know, I I could be wrong. I might be misremembering, but I felt like there were less titles. Like we had Ultimate Spider-Man and Ultimate X-Men and the Ultimates.
Ultimate
And
Avengers, I think we had too, right? Or was
well,
it the
Ultimate
Ultimates?
Avengers was a later version of the Ultimates.
Mm.
But basically, um, three titles max. Maybe there was a few other minis and stuff in there. Um,
I do
but
still like Ultimate Black Panther. I just again don't see how it connects to the overall story. And
yeah,
neither does like Spider-Man.
well, I think some of the things I do see connecting all these titles together. You've got the world powers, which I don't know what their name is, but you basically have like Ron Conchu and Bruce Banner, and you've got all the people who are in charge of the different locations. Like you've got
There
Japan
was like
in
Ileana and
X-Men.
Colossus,
You got
something
the
like that.
Russian.
Yeah.
You've got the like the world isn't the same as our real world, but they have leaders in each place across the world, and they're basically the villains for all these stories. So I guess eventually we're gonna have to take them all down.
I'd like to see some more like something more about them too, because it's interesting to follow the heroes, but I also want to follow the villains a little bit because uh, I want to know what makes them so terrible, aside from just dropping bombs.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think this one gave us a little more insight into how terrible this version of Bruce Banner is. I think um, it was interesting last issue how we had Midas, who basically took the armor, like the golden armor that Tony Stark's dad, Howard Stark, was wearing when he was in charge of America or North America or whatever his territory is called now. Um, and he was like he turned the White House gold. Like I think
I
I think
get
we are
that.
getting
I do
like
like gold.
I mean it's nice if you got it, right? But I think what else? I haven't been following Ultimate X-Men, so I don't really know if they've gotten into Sunfire and his group over
Ah,
there.
they have like God, I think they have Surge, they have Armor, and they have Nico
Yeah, but
at
those
this
are the
point.
heroes.
Yeah, and the villain is like some
Shadowy thing.
shadowy blob.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. But the ruler of the territory in
Oh, and the
Japan.
cult, they're gonna take on the cult.
Okay, well, I
Ruler?
haven't kept up with that because I didn't really like it. But yeah, I but they this but Hickman put in place this whole cabal of evil people. So yeah,
Yeah,
we need to see
I'm
more about
just
what they're up
afraid
to.
that as he always does, he would walk away in the middle of it
Yeah,
all and just
yeah.
leave everyone figuring out. What are they gonna do next? Because he does that a lot.
He does, yeah. So what's your current ranking of the Ultimate books?
I mean, still, Black Panther is my favorite. I'd say that Ultimates is my probably no. Spider-Man is my second favorite. Ultimates is the third, and the X-Men are unfortunately at the bottom.
Yeah, yeah. I'm similar. I mean, I think I'm gonna put Ultimates ahead of Spider-Man for me. But everything else is the same. Um, yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really just again, I don't really know if there's a strong mission statement for this new Ultimate Universe. I feel like this book in particular, the Ultimates title, it does have a lot to say. Honestly, I'm surprised I don't hear more people complaining about how woke it is. Like
I don't think they like reading comprehension, probably.
yeah, maybe they're just not even reading it. But
Oh yeah, that too.
but um but I do feel like you know uh Dennis Camp has a lot of a lot of a message that he's getting across here, more so than the other titles. Whereas I think Black Panther has a message as well, but it's kind of like baked into the action and like the intrigue of it. Like there's still a lot of mystery going on over there, so uh we don't even really know what's
Yeah,
happening.
that's the thing that we don't know, but it keeps being like very exciting and very mm, captivating, I guess.
Hmm.
And the art really helps this book.
Yeah, the
Like I
art.
said, like last week, I think when I read the new issue, that like the hottest cast of characters.
Yeah, I know. We both love Stefano Caselli, and he was back on the book on Ultimate
Yeah,
Black Panther last week.
they were
Um,
all looking amazing.
they were, yeah, I'll agree 100%. Um, yeah, I don't even think I might have a cover. Yeah, here we go. So, yeah, Ultimate Black Panther. Um, I mean, I will say I really like that one moment. I mean, I don't know how much. Okay, so I'm gonna share this other picture. I think I have a copy of it. Um, Ultimate Black Panther. Doopy doopy doo. Um, yeah. Can you speak on the story a little bit about what you liked about it?
Well, basically, I like the. Can say that the villains, like the Ryan Khonshu, are my favorite concept, but like there's something interesting going on, and I don't know, I don't quite get what it's about all about just yet. But I love the like alternative take on the characters, and I like to see the dynamics in Wakanda. But something I always like. I like to see the country in general, the interiors, all that. So it's probably like 90% of my fascination with this book is about art and about the
Hmm.
visuals. It's just fun. And of course, like I would read anything that has Storm in it, naturally.
Yeah.
Mm, and again, like Storm and Black Panther, one of my favorite ships, but like in this particular book, she is in a relationship with Killmonger, which is
Yeah.
also interesting, and T'Challa is married to Okoye, and all of that. I just want to see the drama, okay? Let's be honest. I
Oh
want to
yeah.
see what all that is gonna evolve into, because
Like I
like
still think I thought from I think issue at least two, if not issue one, I think Okoye is like the traitor, and
yeah,
and
probably.
I think that that might mess up their relationship, maybe open the door for Storm if she ever breaks up with
Yeah,
Killmonger. Who
and
knows?
I figure that probably Killmonger is gonna switch sides at some point, so that would probably make sense.
Possibly, but oh my gosh, like I know I have Um, I have a picture here that I want to share, but it's just not showing up for some reason.
From Ultimate Black Panther.
Yeah, like I have it here in my photo gallery, so why isn't it not sharing? That's crazy. But basically, it was the scene where Black Panther frees Raw and Khonshu's captives, and he's like, "Say my name, the one who set you free." And everybody's like,
Oh yeah,
"Black
yeah, yeah,
Panther."
yeah.
It's
I
like, "Say
remember
it
that.
again, say it louder for all of Africa to hear." They're like, "Black Panther." Like I feel like that moment was like, that's a moment that like I feel like this whole book is full of moments that Black Panther fans want to see. Like they want to see T'Challa, they want to see him being a hero. They want to see him doing heroic things and not losing all the time.
But they want to see him like show some attitude too.
Yeah, yeah,
So yeah, it's enjoyable, definitely. And also
like
like his costume, I like the design of his costume in this book. Because it's a little bit
yeah.
more like futuristic and it has like a mouth hole with
I'm
the
into it.
panther
Yeah, that mouth
paint.
hole is different, but I'm cool with it. Like I like it.
Yeah, it's
And
pretty
like
cool.
it's kind of
And
like
God,
the
again,
movies.
the art in this book is just fantastic.
It really is. Yeah.
It's just all the looks, all the dynamics. Very
Here we
cool.
go. This is the page I was trying to share.
Yes.
Yeah, he like he's the hero that we needed that we don't always get. He doesn't even have a book in the 616 anymore right now. Like he's in Avengers, but other than that, you
Oh
don't
yeah,
get him
yeah,
anymore.
that's
Like he had a good Blood Hunt book, but it's like they haven't announced, what's happening next yet.
it's also part of what interests me about the Avengers book is like that Storm and T'Challa are gonna be in the same on the same team. So
You got
yeah,
Storm and T'Challa, and some people are questioning like, is Sam Wilson like at all, gonna flirt with Storm because like he kind of like kissed her hand, like I mean I think their relationship is more friendly, but
yeah, I thought so too. But also she's still seeing that guy from NASA.
I mean
Where's
we hope
he?
so, but we haven't seen him in a minute,
I mean,
so who
she
knows?
one day she just left him in bed and went to save Magneto, and I don't think they've seen each other since.
I think he's still on Araco, so maybe if we
Maybe
see
she
more of
forgot about
Araco.
him.
I mean, where has Storm even been? Like she did not show up in Blood Hunt once, so I'm like, what was she doing that whole time? Where was she
Wait,
chilling and
wasn't
hanging out?
she in the era of Apocalypse?
No, she was not in
Ah,
the era of Apocalypse.
well, then I
She
don't know. Well, she was probably ghosting that guy from NASA.
right, like this Avengers was her first appearance since the X-Men 700 or whatever it was. So
Yeah,
um
there she was like in the UN for some reason.
yeah, but I don't know. We'll get to see more about what she's up to when she gets her solo book. I'm very excited
Yeah,
for that. I've already pre-ordered it. We are gonna talk
which
about that
cover?
when that comes out. Just the main A cover, like
Hmm.
I like that one. But I'm sure like they're all great. Do you have a preference?
I don't
Maybe I can pull
remember
it up.
what they look like. Yeah, if you could find them.
Yeah, I'll look that up. But yeah, like even this Avengers book had a lot of great covers. And I did get a variant for that one. But I'm very excited for her to have her own solo book coming up
I don't think it's gonna
because
be like an ongoing though, and I think that this is a mistake because Storm has a lot of fans, and I think that like if you create a long, engaging story, that could really have some potential, and she could like do team ups too, mm, stuff like that. I don't think that she only needs to be on the Avengers team because like look at Wolverine, he does everything, he's everywhere.
true. I mean, I definitely think that you know, people are gonna I think that the creative team is very excited about, the work that they're putting into this new Storm book. And I think fans are gonna, turn up for it. Is it gonna be good? Let's hope so. Um, I mean, it is kind of always tricky to like, you know, try to please the fans. Like you can't please everybody, and then on top of that, she is more. It sounds like she might be more removed from the X-Men, which is fine. Like if Wolverine gets to have all these solo titles and books, Storm can have a
Yeah.
bunch of books, in my
But
opinion.
then
Like give.
again, she can again be in a relationship in the relationship with T'Challa because he's not like the king of Black Panther anymore. He's just on the Avengers team, and she is kind of removed from the X-Men and is on the Avengers team. So look at how perfectly it works out for me.
Hmm. Yeah, here are the
Okay, I
covers for
definitely
issue one.
like. I think I like the cover probably best.
Yeah, I'm getting the main cover here. I like the sunset
Oh,
colors and the artwork. She looks very
yeah,
beautiful.
it looks
Um,
good. The
Now
second
here's
one
one.
too,
The
then.
second one's got a lot of energy. You can see the lightning and everything. Here's Joelle Jones. She's got a lot of good artwork when she's not tracing. Um,
I kind of. Well, yeah. Okay, I'm not gonna say anything. Oh,
here's
this one is very good.
yeah, that's beautiful. Um, and we got another one over here, Jerome Pena. Um, Lucas Wernick, and he's the main artist for this book. Oh my God, that's gonna be a beautiful book.
Yeah,
Lucas Wernick. Oh, I like that one.
pretty
And the
nice.
last
Although
one,
it's more like I'd say it's more integral. Like, oh wait, what Doom is gonna be there?
Doom is gonna be there.
Okay, that's
Are you more excited
interesting.
now?
A little bit, yes. And my issues with the Fantastic Four, ironically, made Doom the most interesting character of them.
Hmm.
Okay,
All right,
that's
so
definitely interesting.
yeah,
Please don't marry
Eh,
him, Storm.
yeah. I don't think they're
It's
getting
so
married.
creepy. She's like, I'm the queen of Latveria now.
That would be hilarious. Do you remember when Scarlet
Actually,
Witch
that would
was
be
dating
interesting.
him? Do you remember when Scarlet Witch and
No,
Doom
I literally scrubbed that from my mind.
they were about to get married? I kind of was feeling it. I liked it. I shipped
Rooting for that. I mean, I do remember
it.
Doom though coming on to Storm every time he sees her. He's
Oh
like,
yeah,
"Oh, hello."
it's like
So
it's like
yeah, I mean, actually, the more I think about it, the more interesting it might have been.
so we
Because like
shall see.
imagine her ruling a weird Balkan country that's stuck in
Well,
the like medieval times. I would
I mean,
definitely read that.
she barely did a good job ruling Wakanda as their queen. Like,
Well,
I don't know if she's gonna be interested in ruling Latveria. She didn't even want to be queen of Araco.
you can't really do worse than Doom. So the bar is pretty low.
I mean, I'm still on Team Craig. Bring back Craig.
I forgot his name, so now I'm not on his team.
I would rather see her back with Craig than Doom, but that's just my opinion.
Okay, like
Um,
T'Challa is the number one choice. Let's just agree there.
I mean, T'Challa, I do love them together. I have like the issue where they got married.
Of course.
It was a big deal at the time, but I just feel like it's been like the writers have done so much to destroy that. Unfortunately, it's going to take a lot of work for them to bring it back around.
Okay, but
Um,
like Sue still hasn't divorced Street, so
but Sue and Storm are two completely different characters.
that's true. But I think
Sue
that
is
like a good
loyal.
writer.
Storm is independent. She's an independent woman. She's singing the Destiny's Child song. She's singing all the Beyonce
A
songs.
good writer can pull it off. I'm gonna trust in the good writer. Yeah,
Like
it's gonna
like
be hard to repair if somebody tries, though. Yeah, I agree
I
there.
really liked Ta-Nehisi Coates' run, and like he did a lot of work to bring them back together, but it didn't really stick. Um, John Ridley was like no, and Marvel was like no.
Yeah, but
So
you
here
know
we
how it
are.
goes. Like every other like 5 or 10 years, somebody's like, "Yay!" And well, somebody after them might go no, but like
Yeah.
by that point, everybody will get used to it.
All right, now
We'll
we gotta
see.
talk
We'll see
about
where
some
it
of the
goes.
we gotta talk about some of the new X books. Let's
Of
talk
course.
about this one. X-Men number
Okay.
2. Jed
Yes.
McKay, Ryan
Hmm.
Stegman, JP Mayer, and Marta Gracia. Um, yeah, in this issue, the X-Men they try to take on what looks like an alien threat, but spoiler alert, things aren't exactly what they seem. It kind of continues on the plot from issue 1 where like they're trying to figure out what's going on with these adult mutants who are popping up. Um, we get to see the whole cast. What do you think?
Well, first of all, it reminded me very much of the Mega Mutant. Do you remember that arc in like Bendis and Bachala run of Marvel Now, Uncanny X-Men?
Yeah, the one where the kid like had all the powers.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It kind of reminded me of that because like you have another reality warper. We had enough of those, and we already done a lot of issues that can come from that. But then they obviously fooled everyone into thinking that he self-destroyed. And I don't know. I just didn't feel that the story really grabbed me as much as I
Yeah,
hoped it would. It just was
yeah,
kind of like fillery. Felt like a filler. But I don't know.
yeah. Like for me, it was kind of a step down from issue 1. Like there was
Mhm.
less characterization. There was a lot of action, but it was just kind of like
Yeah,
it
and
was
a
very,
lot of one-liners.
yeah, it was very superficial. Like I think that's intentional to like bring in new readers and like just be a light superhero tale with maybe a little bit of intrigue, but it's not like heavy on like characterization or lore or anything.
Yeah.
Uh, so
It
for
barely
long-term
even
readers, it's
gave
kind of boring.
like barely showed us where each character is at this point. I don't know. They just came back from one mission and jumped into another. We didn't see anything
Yeah,
in between. And
like
we
I hope
actually
it's not
didn't
all
see
mission
any.
based.
Yeah, I hope so. We didn't even get any development from Beast and his side of the story, like whatever's
Right? Yeah,
happening
Beast
to
was
him.
missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, none of the side characters. No Glob, no Zorn. Maybe I should expect to see them every issue. Like if I expect to see them every issue, I'm playing myself. I need to like have lower expectations.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, this cover though, I have to say, do you remember in the '90s when Cyclops was trying to cheat on Jean with Psylocke?
Yeah.
Do you think they're
You
gonna
think
like?
he's trying to do that again?
Do you think that will come back up, or they're gonna just avoid that because like Jean is in space,
Yeah, I
and
feel like and Scott likes to cheat with other telepaths.
he loves
Let's
to
not
cheat every chance he gets.
let's not pretend that it's not true.
Like Jean should not trust this man. She should be in his brain
Yeah.
24/7, being like, "You better not cheat while I'm
I mean,
gone."
she is. That's why he cheats with other telepaths.
But usually she gives him permission though. Like she'll be like, "Okay, you can cheat with Emma while I'm in the white hot room because I got work to do and I'm busy." Uh, but the question is, will the Psylocke even like him? Because this is Kanan. This is not Betsy anymore.
Okay,
Um,
I'm afraid that she might. Because like maybe she just doesn't remember quite what happened with Betsy.
I love
No.
that we are not even talking about the plot of this book anymore. We're just again getting into the relationship drama and speculating about who's
Well,
going to
it's
cheat.
X-Men, okay?
Right?
But also, like, where's Frenzy? I mean, if anyone should get a shot
Well, Frenzy's in the next
while
book we're
this
going to
is
talk about,
happening.
but
Yeah. I mean, if anyone deserves a shot, I think it's her. She's been
But
wanting that for years.
right. But before we move on from this, I just want to say someone did say online they said Psylocke needs to stop wrapping her katana in bacon because like what is that? Why is her sword bacon wraps?
And that's a butterfly on the sword. It's interesting. It's very weird design.
Yeah, every time they showed her sword, it looked really strange. It doesn't. I don't know if that's supposed to be
It's
a
just
psychic
something that,
effect.
yeah, I think so. It's just something that doesn't work to me about this art is like it's not exactly my style. It's good. I see like that it's quality, but it's just not my favorite style. And
Like
I mean, bacon wrap is probably part of that.
like I kind of like Ryan Stegman, but this issue did seem like a drop in quality for me. Like it seemed a lot rougher than issue one, to the point where you can't even see meaningful distinctions in people's faces. Like Psylocke and Magic have basically the same face.
Yeah, and
Even
like it's impossible to tell the age. I said it before, but like
hmm
how do Scott and Quentin look the same age?
hmm and
That's
Psylocke does
not
not
normal.
even she doesn't even look meaningfully Japanese. Like in her solo Blood Hunt book, she looked like meaningfully like distinct. Like you could
Yeah.
tell, she was, Japanese. Whereas here, she just looks like, a woman wearing purple.
A dark-haired lady.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that's
that's
probably
yeah,
uh,
it's just kind of a rough
okay.
art style.
Yeah, and the interiors also seemed a little bit rougher, I think.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, I don't know. I
So like it was
well, we'll wait and see what the next issue brings, but like so far we
yeah.
spent a whole issue fighting aliens to basically come back to that reality warper story. I mean, it could have been handled better narratively, I think, because if we got introduced to that reality warping character uh in the beginning of the issue after they already went through the whole battle, that probably would have been more interesting.
We were introduced to the character at the beginning. He was in the
Well,
beginning.
yes. I mean, introduced to, maybe they could have like captured him in the beginning of the issue, and then we had more time to actually get to know him and get to know what's the deal is. And maybe in the middle of it, you could maybe either like flashback on the battle or like have another mission going on at the same time. That would have been fine by me.
Well, maybe that'll happen next issue. Like it was kind of interesting how the X-Men basically kidnapped this guy against his will, which they do a lot of the time. They're like,
Yeah,
"You're a mutant, so you have to come with us," and he's like,
it was the
"I don't
worst
want
during the
to."
Krakoa era. Because they
I
were
mean,
like, wow, you're a mutant, drop your family and join our cult.
it's always been like that to a degree. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I mean, it's we'll see if what 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 that leads to, but yeah, I mean, I'll keep reading it, but like it's not my favorite X book
Without
of the new ones.
enthusiasm. I'll keep reading, but I'm not going to be enthusiastic about it.
I guess like what out of 1 to 10, how would you rank it?
Ooh, that's a hard question. Like 5.
Ooh, that's pretty harsh. Uh,
Well,
so
yeah, but like 10 is Uncanny X-Men #1 is 10. Easy
is
10. But
for
this is
you
like really 5.
is a 5 like in the middle, or is that like below average?
No, it's in the middle. Below
Okay,
average, I would straight go straight to 1, and that would be like the worst of the worst.
yeah. Like for me, um, a 5. I guess like in America, we say 50% is failure. like, we
Oh, no, we
like
don't do that.
like we don't really like to
We
say
have
that.
like 50% as a passing grade. Is in
Uh-huh.
my mind, maybe not
Yeah.
like in everyone's, not
Yeah,
necessarily
so
speaking for
so for
everyone.
me, I would probably give it like maybe a 7
I
or a
mean, the first
6.
one was 7 for me.
Uh-huh. Like the first one was maybe a 8
Maybe
for me.
7.5.
Yeah, but we need this book to like do better if we want to
Yeah.
praise it some more, because
Try harder.
try harder, do
Like
better.
it's what do they write? Like A for effort? Well, it's actually
E for effort, because
oh
A
no no
is
no no.
too high.
It's the not finished or what not complete, something like that.
Incomplete.
Incomplete, yeah, that. Thank you.
All right, so yeah, like if you are new to this book, if you're new to the X-Men, tell us if you like this book more than we do. Or if you're a long-term reader, tell us if we're wrong and you like it anyway. Like,
And you can come the next time and defend your point.
yeah. Now, before we move on, I will mention that there is this book has the final part of Weapon Extraction, which is the shameless Deadpool Wolverine tie-in. Did you read that?
No. I literally just ignored it in every book because I just couldn't. I can't.
Like it was not bad. I read
I'm
it.
not saying it's bad. I didn't read it.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, I read the ones that were in the books that I was reading. I didn't go out of my way to read every chapter of it, so I only got like maybe 3 or 4 chapters. But it's fine. It's just more of the same. Like, it's more Deadpool and Wolverine. So if you like the movie, you know, if you like that dynamic, it's more of the same. It wasn't necessary. I don't know. I guess everybody wants to get that movie synergy.
Right, everyone.
Well,
Okay.
everyone at Marvel, everyone in the publishing side seems.
Yeah.
Uh,
Literally no one else.
yeah.
Okay,
All right,
yeah,
so
well, we can move on to the next
let's
one,
move on. Yes.
which is
X
X
Factor
Factor
#1
with the amazing cover.
by Greg Land. I know
No,
everybody
have we
loves
talked
Greg
about tracing yet? I honestly like what did I read? I don't remember. I think it was like the Avengers that I read that had his art inside, and I was complaining on threads about how it just does not match. Emotions don't match the whatever's going on the page. I
Which
just can't get
Avengers
over
book?
that.
Do you remember which book? Do you remember which Avengers
I
book
think
it
it
was?
was like the latest Avengers, like the latest run, and some of the early issues.
The current one or the one before that?
I think it was the current one.
No, he didn't do any of the current run of Jed McKay's Avengers.
Hmm.
There's CF Villa. There was
Yeah, no, there was something else. I don't remember what. Well, I just was like very annoyed with it.
Well, Greg Land does get a lot of work, and he's been accused of tracing for a long time, which is pretty clear that he does like use the same poses over and over and over and over and over.
And the faces, and he has like two
yeah.
faces, one female face and one male face. His black women always look white because he's tracing white women for some reason, and he does that.
Well, I will say, I kind of like Greg Land's style, even if it is traced, even if it is like, you know, lazy. I don't know. I'll say it's like it at least for me, I go back to Phoenix End Song, where he did that with right after
yeah, I remember
the Morrison run. Like, I feel like that story, I was pretty into it at the time, and ever since then, like, he's done some stories that, like, to me, I like the style of it, even if it's kind of like, you know, clearly not always appropriate, or like I'm not trying to be his, I'm not trying to apologize for his work, but I'm just saying sometimes it works, because like for this cover, for instance, like this book, this book has a very
but it has a little bit of a composition issue, if you ask me, because like it doesn't quite work, but yeah, the style is okay.
Like, I'm just saying, in the sense, like, this book is about reality TV style of
Mm-hmm.
celebrity. And
And
so of
that
course,
probably fits.
yeah, like all the people, they need to look beautiful and they need to like you know, I don't know. Like I think it kind of fits that vibe a bit, but the inside and the interior art is by Bob Quinn, which is more cartoony, but I like that for what it was as well. What do you think of the interior art?
Actually, I like that because yeah, it was cartoony, but it also gave the right vibe to the book.
Yeah,
Which
like
is kind of ironic, but at the same time, it looked like a cartoon. It looked like a TV show, which is in many ways the point of it.
yeah, like I have to say right away that this book, spoiler alert, it kind of has a premise that has been done before. I mean, I guess you could say that
Many
about a lot of
times.
comic books. Yeah. But specifically though, I just don't like how they're kind of presenting it like it's new when it's the exact same as this issue of X-Force from the 2000s by Milligan and Allred. Like again, you have
And
kind of
it's
a
kind of like the whole Modger's thing in general. Like he does
yeah,
that, and then this is the same thing, but with a different manager.
yeah. So like back then, this story was, the same plot where you have this team of random mutants and they're working for the government to, take down uh, terrorists in another country. And, but then they
They're
all are
wearing
basically,
similar costumes.
yeah, but they're all basically sacrificed. And back then, no one really cared because these were like Z-list mutants. They were brand new. Like, no one cares about these people. But nowadays, people do care about some of these characters. They're like, you cannot kill these characters. How
I
dare
mean,
you?
not the ones that got killed.
I mean, it's debatable. Everyone has their Z list favorites when it comes to X-Men. Like Feral, Feral has fans. Frenzy has fans. Who did die in this book?
I mean,
I can't
Frenzy
remember.
didn't die. Frenzy was on the second film.
Rusty did Rusty? He looked dead. People like Rusty, don't they?
Who are those people?
Fire Fist, like he was like I was
Okay,
part of the
okay.
original.
I feel really sorry for those three people who like them, but well, gotta make sacrifices. I don't think Feral died either. I think like Feral survived.
Well, Rusty was like, I was part of
Oh
the
no, she died.
original
Yeah.
X Factor. Like both Angel and Rusty were on the original book of X Factor back in the day, and they get no respect. Um, Havoc shows up later, and so does Pyro.
And
Pyro
has all
wasn't
the
really in
respect.
this book. Yeah, so I mean
Also,
it's
like the
kind of
Cloud guy, pretty funny.
now that was so funny. I kind of liked his design. He looked cute.
Yeah, very much.
I was like, we need a book about Cloud Guy.
Yeah.
I want to see his story.
Also, like, is he named McCloud?
I think
That's
so.
cute.
Yeah. So, did you have a favorite character in this book?
Well, it was not Rusty and it was not Feral.
I know that.
Okay, okay, I'm just joking about that.
For me, my favorite characters haven't really come in yet. Like, I want to see. I mean, I do like Cecilia Reyes, but I don't think she belongs in this book. Like, why is she joining this team?
That's so weird, right?
She'd be
I
one of
don't
the
think she
last
was
people to
like
join this team.
yeah, she's not one of the fame hunters in general. And the
Right.
whole thing with her was that she wasn't gonna join any team and she wanted to just be a doctor. And I mean, if anything, I would expect her to try to do that again, to try to like return to the most normal life for her that she envisioned before. But okay, maybe not. I did really enjoy the like whole arc with Lorna because
Mm-hmm.
first of all, it's relationship drama. Even though I kind of missed the point where Havoc dropped Madeline, which was like a very weird relationship again.
So I just read that last night. So that happened in the X-Men Unlimited Infinity comics, on like the digital ones, and
they keep doing them, and I keep forgetting to read them.
yeah, like more and more they're telling important stuff in those books,
I gotta follow them.
and they're not really like making that like a priority for people to read, and it's weird.
Yeah, and they're not even referencing that because, like, basically, like the last time I saw Havoc, he was with Madeline, and boom, right now he's back with Lorna.
Yeah, there
Okay.
is they did do a 3-issue digital story that I do recommend if you can read it, because like I do want to talk about those Infinity books for a second, because I am mad. Like we were talking about representation earlier, like the online digital comics for X-Men, they went from being full of diversity with black and brown people, queer people, and then in this reboot era, it's just all white people. It's Scott and Jean, Charles Xavier, Havoc and Lorna and Maddie. And I'm like, how long are we going? And then the new issue has Omega Red, and we learn about his home in Russia. So I don't know how you're gonna feel about that one.
I don't want to read that. I know enough.
So, so what are they doing? Honestly,
Oh, also Darkstar was in this book, by the way.
Darkstar
We'll
was in this book.
return to that later because, like, regarding Infinity Comics, I do have Marvel Unlimited, and I actually initially didn't want to read them because I read from my tablet, like Unlimited Comics, and I like to see the whole page. I don't like to see the like snippets of the page, and I don't like how they cut them. So it's a little bit irritating and annoying, and I don't like that. If they gave me a full page, I would have been more happy.
I do the same thing. Like, I don't know if your tablet has the same feature as mine, where I'm able to kind of like narrow the window, so it's like a longer strip, and I can see more of it as I read, and that makes it a little bit more tolerable.
See this? Like, maybe, I don't know. I don't actually enlarge anything unless it's a whole a big splash page.
Yeah,
and it's hard to read that. But generally, I like to see the whole page because it gives you the feeling that you're reading a book, and that is something that I enjoy.
Yeah, I don't know if your tablet has like multitasking, or like where you can see, because like let me show you real quick.
It's an Android, so I don't know.
Okay, yeah, like I don't know, like yeah, on an iPad you can kind of like bring in another window, so it'll be like more narrow. Like I can put it on like the side. I don't know if
no, I don't do that. I the tablet does it, I think, but I don't do that normally. I just prefer the whole page and
So like they shouldn't have a format where it's like where most people are like not comfortable with how it looks. Like they need to make it more accessible to people, I think.
Yeah, either make it like a page that is cut into smaller pages like you do with the bigger comics, or just, I don't know, maybe make it like a motion comic or something more easier accessible.
Yeah.
So back to the you have something else?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Let's go back to the X Factor book.
Because we just remembered the Darkstar was there.
Darkstar was there. She's representing the mutants in Russia. They have
she's representing the mercenaries that
the mercenaries. Yeah, they have a team called X-Term.
Well, they claim that they're in Russia, but honestly, I don't know what the Yaroslav nuclear power plant is in Kunashir Island, formerly of the Soviet Union.
Thank you for trying to read that, because I can't even try. So
I'm gonna give me a second. I'm gonna like check, because my geography knowledge is apparently failing me. I'm gonna Google if that's like a real place.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
Oh,
my
yeah.
main thought is just like this
Yeah,
book.
the island is real. It's in Asia.
Okay.
Oh, it's part of the Kuril Islands. Yeah.
Okay.
That's like questionable territory that Russia is arguing with,
I
or
think they did mention that,
about
like it's
with
like a territory
Japan.
that
Yeah.
like used to be part of Russia.
It's
Uh,
it actually I think it still is, but like they're arguing over it with Japan. Japan
hmm
wants it, like in real life. Of course, Japan wants it. Russia doesn't want to give it away. Uh, but like I guess that in this current Marvel situation, it's like either independent or just occupied by these guys.
hmm Well,
They are obviously calling themselves like they have this poster that says "Mutant of the Future."
yeah, like what's that about?
I don't know. It does not look futuristic because it has like the Soviet guy with the torch in hand. Mm, and then I think it's Red Guardian, isn't it?
Yeah, he's usually there with Dark Star on a team.
Well, I mean on the
Um,
poster.
yeah. Like, do you think that he was working with her, or is he just there on the poster?
I don't think no. I think that she's the leader, and I think that we probably wouldn't actually need to know the names of anyone who works with her. I think it's gonna be like the conflict between her and Havoc.
Yep. So that's interesting because like I thought it was more set up to be her and Angel, but maybe Havoc has to take Angel's
Yeah,
place.
uh,
Angel's been kind of
I
roughed up.
yeah, and he's been cut from the team or something, I guess. Which is also like I think that it's a little bit confusing that he's that easily manipulated into this whole ordeal because he is supposed to be the CEO of like multiple companies and he's a pretty like business savvy guy, pretty knowledgeable. How does he fall into this?
That's a good question. Yeah,
That's
it
pretty
didn't
weird. It's like he's supposed to be cleverer than that.
like they didn't really explain how he got to this point. Like he did have that whole X-Men annual where it was all about him and how he's
Yeah, that
been
didn't
through a lot.
actually give anything to this
It
story to
really
me.
didn't. And so I don't know. I mean, I want to talk about this guy. They call this guy Cameo, and he looks a lot like Morph, but maybe a little bit more
Yeah,
green and no eyes.
yeah. I'm like,
He,
this is like clearly it has something to do with the popularity of Morph.
yeah, like are they? Is this supposed to be Morph, or is this just like another new character? I don't
I
know.
think it is supposed to be Morph because obviously like the thing this character does is uh pretty much the thing that Morph has been doing in the X-Men.
Yeah, he's just giving us cameos.
And
Uh,
they even named the name is Cameo.
yeah, but did this character die at the end? I can't remember.
No, no, they came back
Who
like
died?
on the red carpet. The what's her face?
Rusty died.
Yes, yes.
This guy
Rusty did
survived.
not make
Zyber,
it. Yes, and then the God, I keep trying to like Wild Child or Feral.
Cyril, she survived,
I
right?
keep trying to mixing up this Wolfie characters. Yes, Feral survived. No, I
Now
mean
this guy,
Feral died. Feral died at least. Like she.
no, not Cyril,
Uh,
not
yeah,
Cyril.
I think there was a very devastating image of Feral
Yeah,
being
yeah,
impaled on multiple things.
yeah.
So
That's
you
what made me mad,
probably
though, honestly, because like, the whole point of Krakoa was that like, we're the mutants have conquered death with their powers. We're bringing back all these dead mutants. So you're seriously saying to me that like now that Krakoa's over, we're just killing them again?
I
Is
mean,
that the selling point that we're
yes.
killing mutants again?
Well, poor Rusty.
I don't like it.
Honestly, I I kind of do because like I like to see the characters in the most devastating situations sometimes because it makes the triumph all the more meaningful to me. I'm just evil like that.
No, I
But
mean you have a point. Like I get it from that angle. I'm saying like you know, it's just depressing. It's like you know, just because the era ended, does that mean that the mutants really still can't use their powers in that way? I mean, I guess the five are not they're not available like they used to be. Hope is often dead in the future or whatever. Uh, but the point is, they should have some other mutants who should be able to combine their powers to make them
they don't
okay.
have them or
I
something.
guess not.
I mean, yeah, they have mutants who replicate other powers of others, so they probably could have figured it out. But I wasn't a fan of the whole resurrection thing and the like from the very beginning. So I'm okay with them dying as long as they like don't kill off my favorite characters and just okay, I feel bad for Rusty now. But
No, I do think that that was part of the division of like the Krakoa era. Like you had fans who loved the resurrection and fans who hated it, and you had and like it was like a lot of division about like are these characters, are they acting too superior now to everybody else? Are they acting like gods, or are they like still
wasn't
human?
wasn't necessarily about that for me because like the thing I felt was in genuine in that whole scenario is that uh first of all like the minorities of the world that feel represented by the X-Men, they're not there. Like we don't have resurrection. If someone is dead, they're dead. Uh so it would be quite depressing to see like the other characters come back to life like that. And then obviously it doesn't feel quite right to me when the character's death is absolutely meaningless. I mean, they are not quite meaningful because we know that they keep coming back, but it doesn't have to like be mm, just another Thursday. Like they can't be resurrected every week because that just does not make sense, and that kind of ruins most of the stories or the impact. Doesn't have any impact. So I think that when the stakes are a little bit higher, it's a little bit more interesting. And the last point, which I almost lost here in my monologue. Oh God, what was the last point? That oh, it kind of made the Marvel universe in general is different, sure, more like mystical and fantasy and sci-fi than the real world, sure, but this is probably one step too far. So it becomes like a complete fairy tale. Uh, which it is, of course, yes, it is, and I understand it. It's just that some things are fine by me personally, and some things are not exactly like working right. So, in my personal opinion, I'm just glad that we're not doing the resurrection anymore.
Well, that's fair. I mean, I will say from my perspective, like again, like I do identify as a Christian, and resurrection is another huge topic of Christianity. Like it's essential to the faith, the concept of resurrection. So I think that to see it explored in the comics, I think it had a lot of meaning. Like I think that resurrection means it didn't mean that they couldn't die. It just meant that they were going to be brought back. Like they still experienced death, and it did mean something because it was still painful. It was still um like it was like it recontextualized it like they had to make up laws. They're like, okay, well, we can kill each other, but we're not going to kill humans because they can't resurrect until we decide, well, maybe we can resurrect them. I don't know. Like there's a whole lot of interesting things that I think that they did to keep the stories interesting. Like because it does feel like if the characters can't die, then there's no stakes. But these characters still they did die, and they were just coming back all the time. So I don't know. I think it did change the game. I did personally find it interesting, but I understand how it could be considered like unsustainable in the long run to have that be a main aspect of the X-Men. Like clearly, this whole reboot is about getting back to basics, bringing in new readers and not alienating them. So I get it. I'm just kind of sad still. Um,
Yeah, there are things that I'm gonna miss too.
yeah.
Well, yeah, but I wanted to actually say something about this panel of dialogue because, like, we were talking about the characters and this panel of dialogue between Lorna and Alex when they discussing the whole X Factor thing, and they also have this tiny moment when she says that her name is Polaris, and he insists that she calls him Alex. So that was kind of cool and exactly the kind of character moments that I love.
Do you like do you are you on either of their sides? Do you feel like that like I feel like they're starting to position them on opposite sides. Like we've kind of
Yeah,
seen
yeah, of
Lorna,
course.
she's joining the resistance or the
Yeah.
the revolution or whatever they're called. Um
Well, I generally sympathize with the like resistance more.
yeah.
And I'm definitely not gonna side with the media. But it's interesting, and I think that like around that they definitely can build an interesting story.
Yeah, it seems like Havoc is like someone who very often um gets like influenced by, fame and glory and like, stuff like that.
And Cyclops' former wives.
True. So, I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a huge Havoc fan, but I think he has a bad reputation with a lot of mutant fans because he does say my name is Alex. Like my name is not Havoc.
Yeah.
I look like a human and I like it when I look like a human rather than like a zombie or like something. So, um like I'm blonde and beautiful and I'm going to use as much privilege as I can get is basically what he's saying. Um so uh I don't know. It's kind of a
Then again, with the, like, there are people like that, and I like that they're also represented.
yeah, like there's mutants on all sides of the issue, so to speak.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see where that goes. And the fact that they're not really back together, like they're talking to each other, which is something we haven't seen in a while, but they're not really like making out and like acting
Well,
like a
they
couple.
were fighting. I don't know how back together they are, because like they seem to live in the same place or something. Because neither one of them felt like they needed to just leave immediately that place. So, or I don't know. It seemed like they were like having some kind of a moment, like some kind of a relationship in moment, but they were fighting, so they weren't making out, obviously.
Yeah, like and I'll say that in the Infinity digital comic, Lorna did show up at the Limbo Embassy to like try and you know figure out what was going on with Alex. Um, he kind of like rejected her and had to figure out how he's going to get back to being normal. But by the end of it, you know they are talking again, and he's kind of left the embassy and kind of left Maddie. So, um, you know, this could be a new chapter for Havoc and maybe Lorna, or maybe not, or who knows. I think it'll be more dramatic than romantic
Well,
going
yeah,
forward.
that's pretty much what I enjoy.
Yeah. So, any other thoughts about this book?
Well, not that I know of.
All
I
right.
think that it's gonna be like I definitely want to see where it goes. Definitely want to find out more. So yeah, seems like
Um,
fun.
on the scale of 1 to 10, is it higher than a 5?
That would be I think an 8, because it
Okay.
captured my interest and it gave me something to think about it, and it gave me something to look forward to.
Okay. I'm probably gonna give it a 7 because how dare they kill Feral.
And
But
Rusty!
and Rusty. But other than that, it was interesting. And also I have to some of those 7 points are just because uh I really liked the introduction of this guy, McLeod.
Yeah.
He was cute.
I hope I'm gonna see more of him. I hope he's like gonna be. I mean, I feel like he's kind of a mascot or something of this, of the whole X Factor thing.
Yeah, like what's his deal? We'll find out,
Well,
hopefully.
he's reading Weather magazine.
Right? Is that like Playboy magazine for clouds?
Probably.
He seems really into it. Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. So before we wrap up, I do kind of want to mention some of the other books I read this week because I did actually read a lot. Um,
No, I only read the Fantastic Four. Still,
okay.
I'm gonna
Are
finish
you?
the Burn run.
Yeah. What number are you up to now?
Oh, I think it's like in 240s. Oh,
Wow. Okay.
it's Doctor Doom again.
All right.
Every time I'm about to drop this book, so altogether they keep bringing up Doctor Doom, and I'm like, okay, I'll read.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, let's see. There was a few other books that I do want to mention. Um, let's see. I think I can share a picture of it. So, I read Scarlet Witch Volume 1, Witch's Road. Okay.
Ooh.
So I think stay tuned for more discussion on that. Yeah, our friend Joe at Muscles in the Multiverse is also reading that. He kind of put it out there, so that made me interested to finally go ahead and read it. So
How do you like
yeah,
it?
I think it's interesting. It's not my favorite Wanda book I've ever read yet, but I think it's got some interesting ideas going on, and interesting artwork. Um,
Yeah, definitely. It's like a
yeah, like we
showcase of different cool artists. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, every issue is a different artist, and we've talked about this a bit on Threads. But Polly, maybe you can join me and Joe, and maybe we can have a talk about that book specifically more in the future.
Yeah.
But for I also want to mention I read the Doctor Strange 18. That was like the end of this book, this title, and it has a lot to do with
Uh,
Blood Hunt.
who's the writer?
Jed McKay, he's writing everything at
Oh,
Marvel these
yeah,
days.
he's like the Jonathan Hickman of this decade, I guess.
Kind of, or the Bendis, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so also we've got Amazing Spider-Man. I've been trying to catch up with that. So I read this collection, Volume 10, Breathe. This is basically about uh catching up with his cast, like Mary Jane and Anna Watson and Sandman and the Sinister Six, figuring out what they're up to, and then also Chasm and that Halloween girlfriend he has, Hallows Eve,
Oh,
so, and Red and Goblin Queen. So like, there's a lot of catching up going on here,
no, sounds
and
cool.
and then we got Amazing Spider-Man Blood Hunt, where where Morbius appears. I know everybody loves Morbius, like it was Morbin time, so
It's always Morbin time, okay?
yeah. But
Except for
even
when it's webbing time. And probably
right,
craving.
so there's that. We already talked about these books. But Power Fantasy, this came out last week. I really do
Oh,
want to talk about this. This book was so good. It's only one issue so far. It's by Kieran Gillen. and
that's always a yes
Casper.
for me.
Right, like I know you love Kieran Gillen. I also love Kieran Gillen. It's pretty good. So it's basically like him writing the X-Men, but like without limits, like because it's an independent book, it's not in Marvel.
Yeah, I would
So
definitely wait for it to come out like in full before I read it because I love reading, like I love binging his stuff. It's so amazing.
like honestly, this would be my pick of the week if I read it last week. But I don't know if I can make it my pick of the week this week because
I think yeah, you can. If you read it
okay,
this week, it counts.
yeah, I read it this week, so okay, I'll go with that. It counts. It's really good. So that was the best book. Ultraman Avengers that came out. I didn't really like it, but it was okay. I mean, the artwork was
It's a
pretty good.
very cool design, by the
Yeah,
way.
like I don't know too much about Ultraman, but I guess this book tells you everything you need to know. Um, I just don't particularly like uh Kyle Higgins as a writer. I mean, I could get into it, but I don't want to trash anybody right now. I mean, long story short, you know, it's not something I'm into, but maybe other people really like it. So that's all I got to say. Um, but it does feature, some cool characters. We got Miles Morales, we got Sam Wilson, we got Wasp, and Iron Man, and Captain Marvel.
That feels like
So
the basic Avengers cast, honestly.
pretty much. So there's that. And then like we already talked about these books. So
Oh
um
yeah.
all right,
And
that's
from
about
the
it for
Infinity
me.
Comics.
Hmm.
I need to get on those Infinity Comics, definitely.
Yeah, I mean it's been some work for me to catch up on them too. Like I just kind of read them all in one chunk. Um I will say there's the storyline before this one was about Charles Xavier. And it's kind of like really important. Like if you cared at all about what happened to him
Happened to
or what
him.
he was doing at the end of the Fall of X, like he was up to a lot of shenanigans, right?
I mean, he
So
was wasn't he in prison somewhere?
yeah, but before he got imprisoned, he was doing some dirty deeds.
Yeah, yeah, that too.
So
Oh,
that
that's
whole
about his dirty deeds.
it's about his
They
dirty
should
deeds.
have
Like,
called it The Dirty Deeds of Xavier and like made a book out of it, because that I would definitely read.
well, they called it "What Charlie Did," so it doesn't have the same ring as Charlie's Dirty Deeds, but
Yeah.
um, it's essentially the
But
same thing. Like they list all the bad things he's done, and they also bring in Sally Floyd from. We talked about Civil War Frontline. You had mentioned it earlier. Sally Floyd was like in that series. She was working with Ben Urich. She was the reporter, and so now she's like digging into what happened
and what
at the
Charlie
Fall of
did.
X, and she's trying to figure out what Charlie did, and it's rough. Like it's not going good for her or anybody really. So it's interesting. I mean, but uh, but there is a bit of a retcon. So it's like a big retcon. So it's like, why did they put it in this digital book that no one is reading except some
That's really
people?
interesting because like they trying to push these books and again, I don't think that's gonna work. But by the way, I have noticed in the X-Men number 2 that they didn't do
The QR code.
the QR code thing. Yeah, so they're probably doing it for the first issues and then dropping it, which I'm happy about it.
Yeah,
And I think that maybe with the Infinity Comics, the same thing is gonna happen. I see that they're trying to push the Unlimited app, which is definitely good and it's definitely worth subscribing to, especially
yeah.
like if you want to read some older issues and the new issues come up pretty quickly. But well, I mean, just make it cheaper. It's
Yeah, I
not
think
that expensive, but like make it cheaper and people will subscribe. It's more likely than trying to push them with this comic.
I think the challenge is just that there's still a big divide over whether people like to read print comics or whether they like to read digital comics. And even then, then you got the fans who don't even like to read. They like to watch the movies, they like to play the games, they like to watch TV, and that's valid. Um, but like
Has been
it
like killing it with games.
yeah.
They've had
So
some pretty good titles.
yeah, so, like it's gonna be hard to like make reading all these books popular because there's so many of them. But they're trying to make it accessible. Like if you have the app, every time I go in there, they're doing more and more to be like, okay, like you open it up, it says pick your favorite character and start reading
Yeah.
here. Like it literally
Yeah,
says
and
that.
they have reading guides that are really
Hmm.
very comfortable because you can read the issues, all the issues in the story, and that's amazing. That's
Yeah,
really a
that's great.
lifesaver, especially because you don't need to look for reading guides. You can just pick one. And they constantly, like on Facebook, they constantly running this promotion that subscribe for like 3 months for like 99 cents or something. I'm not sure if it's 99 cents and don't want to misrepresent. But yeah, they definitely trying to push the app. And I think that the I don't know, I personally prefer to write to read digital because I prefer to collect physical books but trades because they're first easier accessible and second look way better on a shelf. Uh, I don't like singles because they're all in the boxes and they don't sell them everywhere, obviously. But yeah, when I collect my trades and deluxe editions and all the beautiful books like hardcovers and TPBs, I do not necessarily like to read them because like it ruins the book. And I'm one of those people who are like, don't touch my books.
Right, like I
Okay.
don't want fingerprints. I don't want
Yeah.
mess. Like yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
one of the worst horrors is like when a person comes to visit you and they're like, "Oh, look at all those cool comics you have," and they start touching them, and then they start touching your statues and figures. And no,
Like
doors that way.
God forbid any kids come in. They like, oh, you
Oh,
like the dirty fingers.
no kids in my house.
Like I like I sometimes I bring comics to kids like at my job and like and those comic books get so torn up. I feel so bad, but I'm like, but at least the kids are enjoying them. Like,
Well,
you
no,
gotta get them hooked somehow. Like,
that's not enough for me. Like, I don't want to bring joy to kids. Not with these sticky fingers on my books.
yeah,
No.
like honestly, that's why I love Free Comic Book Day in America because like I get to get a couple free books that I can give to the kids. Like at least I didn't have to pay for them and see them get ripped to shreds.
Yeah, that's painful. Also, like, why do the kids always have sticky fingers? Like, what are you
Why
always
do they?
touching that? Why are you sticky?
They're
And
always
then
sticking
they
their
try
fingers
to
up their
touch it.
nose.
Like
Yeah,
like otters, that otters would eat fish with their hands and then they would touch everything around the house. I love otters, but I'm not gonna like get an otter because that's what they do. Uh, and the
exactly.
raccoon would probably steal all my statues, so I'm not gonna
But
do
yeah,
that.
but I definitely have gone more digital than I used to because in the past I used to like I mean print was the only option, but then with digital I do find it easier to like manage my collection uh like all my physical comic books they're not in like one place it's like it's challenge and they're heavy like it's a whole thing but
Yeah, it's very difficult to read a beautiful hardcover omnibus.
exactly so I mean they look great but it's like I don't have a whole lot of them the
My back can't
omnibuses
handle that.
right but yeah but at least there's different options for different folks and yeah Marvel Unlimited is great so we do recommend it if you can swing it but and we understand that there is a price
Definitely, and
point.
like,
It's not.
yeah, the trial though is pretty cheap, so like
Yeah,
the
at
first
least
two
give it a
months.
free trial or a cheap
Yeah.
trial. Um, and it's worth. You get a lot of bang for your buck. You get access to almost every book that they printed up till the last 3 months. So
Yeah, because like a few years ago when I downloaded that app and it wasn't like available fully, so I downloaded it and then I used like the VPN to pay for it and stuff like that. It was a whole mess. But well, they did accept my money, so I was happy with that. Uh, and it didn't have everything. It didn't have some like I'm not sure. I think it didn't have like Max issues, and it didn't have some of the other issues that I was looking for. So obviously, like they keep updating the collection, and at this
yeah,
point, they have a lot of comics. It's probably
yeah,
like the chances are you can find anything there.
yeah. I think they still don't have a lot of the Max books, but they still have a lot of books, and like yeah, they're always updating it to fill in the gaps more and more. But
Yeah,
um,
and the old comics have really good quality, so
yeah, I mean, it's almost too good. I do kind of complain about that because a lot of these older books have been recolored and what's the word? Restored, and you don't really get the actual old comic. Like I kind of almost like I wish it was more gritty and like more like old looking, but that's just me.
I
Um,
mean, yeah, that's I understand that. But I think I like it because like it's easier to read at least. It
yeah,
doesn't
it
put
is.
a strain on your eyes, and as you see, like my eyes have had enough strain as it is. I
No,
barely can like without glasses, I probably wouldn't be seeing anything on my screen.
but that
So
is
yeah.
but you know what though? I do kind of wish Marvel would do more audio versions of their stories. Like they've dabbled in that a bit with podcasts,
Yeah,
audio
and I think
stories,
they
but
they also did like motion comics, which I think that
hmm
was a good idea.
hmm so they should do more of that. Like I'd prefer that over these Infinity books, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. I would like really I would take a motion comic because they did it with the Astonishing X-Men and it was pretty fun and they did it for Black Panther. I
And
remember that.
Spider Woman.
Yeah. And also uh well yeah, I would really enjoy that. It does require like some more effort because they have to make them move or at least like look like they're moving and they have to like narrate them and do the voice acting thing, but that's probably like gonna a good opportunity to like many voice actors too.
Right, as long as they hire real people and not AI to do it. Like
Oh, nobody's gonna listen to like an AI narrated book. I don't know.
I don't want an AI motion comic, please. Don't do that,
Yeah.
Marvel. Whatever you do, don't do that.
I don't think they would because like the outrage from the titles on Secret Wars that was pretty bad.
Now let's hope that there would be enough outrage to prevent them because like I mean they already dabbled in like NFTs and stuff like that. Uh but it's just the way things are these days. All right, well, I think that about wraps up, our comics talk for today. Is there anything
Yeah.
else you want to mention or plug before
Ooh,
we say
what
bye-bye?
what did I read else? I'm just trying to remember if I read something that was mentioning, but I probably was just mostly watching stuff.
Anything good that you've been watching?
I've been rewatching The Good Place.
Okay. I've
So
never seen
yeah.
that, but I've heard people, I know a
Oh,
lot of people
it's
like it.
pretty good. It's pretty good, yeah. Very fun. Uh I think like it's like it's an introduction to philosophy for those who never studied it, I guess, and it's pretty fun.
Yeah, like if you like philosophy, because I love philosophy, like that book I mentioned before, the Kieran Gillen book, The Power Fantasy, it's very deep about like
Yeah.
morality and philosophy and ethics and all that stuff
Yeah,
of,
that's
of
kind
like
of
the
the
powers.
same theme that is reflected in The Good Place. And yeah, I do love philosophy, mostly because I was forced to in university.
Hmm
Either you love philosophy or you fail. So we all had to love philosophy a lot. But it is a fun subject, yeah.
hmm All right. I remember I was okay, so I was in high school. I went to a Catholic high school, so they had a morality class. And I remember showing my teacher House of M because it came out at the time. I was like, they're having a moral discussion in this book about whether they should kill Scarlet Witch or
And
not.
then, like, what?
And like it's really
I'm a witch.
interesting. And so like I think I gave it to my teacher to read and like we had a discussion about it. And it was like it
No,
was
that's pretty cool.
yeah, yeah.
I thought they will like be more strict about that in a Catholic school, but I guess like I not, don't really know what's going on
Well,
there.
yeah, I would say that my school was, pretty uh I want to say open-minded as far as like
Mhm.
having discussions and just like every like I was never I'm not Catholic. I'm Christian, but I'm not Catholic. So it's like I think it was a very welcoming school that you had a lot of different people, different like there was a lot of diversity and a lot of you know like it wasn't indoctrination like so that was good like we had a world religions class where we learned about world religions and like it was just it opened my eyes which I realized like a lot of people don't have that privilege to like
Well,
learn all
yeah,
that stuff in
like
high
I
school.
don't think that we had any world religion classes in school, but I did have a pretty like big set of encyclopedias.
And
And
that's
there was a
great.
world religion encyclopedia that was this thick, and it was absolutely one of my favorite. My favorite was art, and then literature, and then religion.
Awesome. Yeah, I think we probably would have had a lot of the same classes that we liked when we were in school.
Yeah,
um,
none of them math.
right. Like I did struggle in English, like not because I was bad at it, but just because like I just didn't like writing papers.
Ooh, I loved
I lo-
writing papers.
interesting. Like maybe if they told me to draw a comic book, maybe I
I
would have been
actually, I even started loving it even more since I started writing essays about comic books. And then before that, of course, like all term papers in the university and like essays in school. That was always my favorite to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, a great conversation today. Thank you,
Yeah,
Holly, for joining me.
thank you.
Um, let's see. What's on the agenda for next week? Any books next week that you're looking forward to?
Oh my God, I'm looking for like really looking forward for Exceptional X-Men. I don't think if it's coming next week or like a week after that. Anyway, this is one of the books that's gonna focus on what Emma is doing, and I love Emma, and I want to know what she's doing, and like what's her deal gonna be moving forward. Also, like I am still a little bit mourning her failed marriage to Tony Stark, and Tony Stark is in the Avengers book, which is I did find a little bit confusing because he was like multitasking. He had this whole thing going on with from the Invincible Iron Man, and was it at the same time that he had the Avengers going on? Kind of weird, but I'll accept it. But I'm excited to see Emma and Kate Pride, of course,
Yeah, I'm
and
excited
whatever
just
they.
mostly for Eve Ewing. Like I like what I've read by her, and I think to have a
Yeah,
black woman writing one of the main X-Men titles that's ongoing. Like that's a big deal. Um, especially in this new era where there hasn't been a lot of diversity that's worth noting yet. So I want to kind of hope that that book will bring
there
some
are
more
there
of
are
it.
amazing writers though, like but mostly I think like most of them are with DC.
So next week there's not a lot of Marvel stuff, but there is Ultimate Spider-Man 8. So that might be
Oh,
something
that
we'll
too, yeah.
talk about. Um, there's a new Wolverine book that I don't care about. Wolverine Revenge by Hickman and Capullo. Have you heard about that?
Every week I look at the new releases and I see the Wolverine books and I'm thinking, nah.
Like I'm another Wolverine book. Like there's always like 20 of them. Like I
Yes.
cannot keep up with them, and I don't care.
How does he
Um,
have time for all that?
like even Hickman is not enough draw for me to want to read this book. I'm sorry. I I
I
don't
guess
get
we're
it.
probably gonna do a like uh long page of some kind of report about like what Wolverine's been up to. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know. With a title like Wolverine Revenge, it's got to be all action. Like you can't. We don't have time for
Nah,
data pages.
it's Hickman. He's gonna find where to stick that page. He did that with, I think he did that with Spider-Man too, or
Well,
something.
I do have to say Hickman is kind of to blame for all these Infinity comics. Like he did the first ones, and the first one was about Wolverine just basically falling down the page. Like didn't have any data pages. It was just Wolverine scrolling, falling, 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 fighting, 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 and it was not good.
I remember I saw that and I was like, what? And that's probably the reason why I didn't ever get to read any other Infinity comics, because that was just, what was that?
Yeah, like I literally stopped reading some of those because I had to wait until it got more interesting because like I was like, what is this? Um, a lot of DC books are coming out next week. I'm not caught up, so I might just be reading like back issues. But Nightwing is coming out next week. World's
Oh yeah.
Finest, Superman, Wonder Woman,
Okay,
Titans.
I will one day I will finish that Fantastic Four John Byrne run. And I will read a bit more of Superman. And yes, I will finish Nightwing and God, what's his name? Batman. But like
On the
Nightwing right now, who's writing story?
Tom Taylor's still writing
Oh,
Nightwing for
still
now.
great,
Mhm.
great, because that's been a joy to read every time.
I do think it's coming towards the end because he's going to move on to Detective Comics.
I mean,
Uh,
that's okay, because like I'm gonna wait for it to be fully released and then I'm gonna
mhm,
catch up.
mhm.
But it's been a great run. And it's good that like if it's moving towards the end, it's great that he's leaving on a high note, which I hope it still is. Because
Yeah,
like not
it
everyone can do that.
it might be a legendary run if it isn't already. Like it kind of feels like it already is, but like if he nails the ending, I think people will be
Yeah.
very they'll have so much praise for it. I think it just won like an Eisner Award recently.
For
Tom
that,
Taylor and Nightwing
oh, definitely
and
deserved.
Redondo. Yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely deserved.
now but back on the Marvel side of things, I think you read Namor #1, so Namor number
Yeah.
2 is coming out next week.
Oh, yay.
You gonna read that?
Yes.
And then
I'm kind of interested in where it's gonna go.
I'm interested in Daredevil Woman Without Fear #2. That's coming out next week. So Elektra's Daredevil book is her
Oh
she's
yeah.
coming back
Oh,
out.
I need to finish the like Starsky run on Daredevil because absolutely, again, absolutely amazing. One of my favorites, hands down, ever.
And also I neglected to mention Phoenix #2 is coming out next week.
Oh, I'm not excited about that. I
Well,
mean, it's honestly, Jane, just get over yourselves.
I'm
But no,
definitely
I'm
gonna
just kidding.
read
It's
it.
actually interesting, yeah.
I mean, there was that scandal about tracing again, but
Ah.
yeah,
I mean, she has to like talk to Scott there, and we'll probably find out that he's been cheating on her.
I hope not. Like I'm like he needs to like not cheat at least for like 10 issues.
Okay, but in issue 11, he's cheating.
Probably. I believe it.
Yes. He can only
Um,
hold on for that long.
all right, so join us next week and we'll find out if Cyclops cheated or not right here on DMV CBN Comic Book Club. Thanks, everybody.
Gossip show.
Like, if you want all the drama and all the tea about who's dating who and who's cheating on who, we're gonna find out. Yeah, she's got her teacup right there, her coffee mug.
Exactly.
So, yeah, good times over here. One last thing, if you like this video, if you've gotten this far with us, please go ahead and give us a like and a subscribe. We're so close to 50 subscribers. It's very exciting. Um, only 8 more and we'll be there. So if you can help us cross that threshold, maybe we can do
Definitely do.
YouTube live. You know, who knows? I don't know.
And
Might
don't
be.
forget to join the next week.
Yes, join us next week and every week that we do this. It's usually every Saturday at 10, at 11. What time is it? 11 a.m. EST, which might be different depending on where you're at, but all are welcome. Preferably, people who are adults, because like that way we can have an open conversation. We don't want to. These aren't made for kids, so
Yeah.
so stay home if you're a kid. But everyone else is welcome because you know, if you love comic books or even if you're new to comic books, we want to, share that joy with you and hear what you have to say. So, until next time, my friends, Excelsior. Bye bye.
Bye.